Well, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, everybody from all around the world, hello and welcome to another Friday edition of The Welch Report with me, your host, Jean-Luc Welch. Let's make some noise, everybody. Clap it up, get excited wherever you are. We are back, we're here, we're live, and we're all so excited to cover the world of boxing and beyond with you today on this championship rounds edition of The Welch Report, where you all control the going flow of where we go with this show. As we want to hear your thoughts, your comments, your opinions, your debates, your questions, and as we go through the world of sports, we want to hear your input on everything that we have to say on today. And we got a whole bunch and abundance of news. I'm talking an absolute avalanche of news, the biggest of which being recently, as of an hour ago, LeBron James has officially signed with the 76ers in the NBA, and it's going to be his last ride in the league. Yes, it is. He confirmed it over on social media. LeBron is going to Philly, land home of some of the greatest icons in the sports world, like with Joe Frazier and, of course, Rocky Balboa as the movie character in Boots Ennis. Now they got another foray of stardom to add to their pantheon of excellence, including the great Dr. J, Charles Barkley, and now LeBron joins the ranks with Joel Embiid, with Jaylen Brown, with Tyrese Maxey, with VJ Escombe as a five-headed monster in the world in the NBA going forward in the last 2 years of LeBron's career. We're going to delve into that whole makeup of move and reaction to it all, but also Boots Ennis, Shakur Stevenson, Devin Haney, Keyshawn Davis, the fight between the two. How in the world what can we see down the line with Errol, Spence, and Tim Sue in their fight that is happening this weekend down under in Australia? Yes, indeed, and what could be a potential last ride for Errol Spence if he can't get it done against Tim Sue, and also some concerns with some drug testing that Tim Sue brought up, that apparently there's been no drug testing going down amongst any of the fighters, or at least amongst Tim Sue, that he says, hey, we need to get some stuff going, and maybe read some rumors, stuff may be potentially going awry. Most likely not, but it's big enough that we should address it regardless of which. And last thoughts on the fight in and of itself, how we can see it going. We want to hear from you in every aspect of life and sports. We want to have yourself added to the conversation. If you would, go ahead and keep on chatting in the chat box, like with Albuga. How you doing, Albuga? Good to see you. Thank you for showing up. Thank you for showing up. We got the audio correct this time. We should be sounding crisp, clean, loud, and incredibly good. Unlike last time when I was blowing people's eardrums out. We should be okay. But we appreciate you and salute to you, Al Booga, and anybody else who wants to chat. Come on board, be a part of our show, and please be sure to subscribe to the channel. That's right. Come on. Be a part of the hottest show on all the globe and join our community, join our empire, join our conglomerate of a channel, and be sure to hit the subscribe button, hit the notification bell so you know whenever we post right here on YouTube, so you never miss an episode that we have coming up, so you're always up to date with the news and latest opinions on the world of sports and beyond. If you would be so kind, also leave go ahead and rate us 5 stars wherever you listen to podcasts. We're available on Apple, Spotify, wherever you listen to your local podcast. We are there to be heard, and if you would rate us 5 stars, help us out immensely. And please be sure, if you want to support the channel, Cash App, PayPal, links down below in the description, as well as Super Chat, Super Gift, stickers, and the like, all down by the chat section and at the bottom of your screen. You can go through and give, if you can, to help support this channel. We're like PBS, y'all. We need help from viewers like you to keep this show going. We are made possible by the viewing and listening public all around the world. The Schmeckles, the Doubloons, the Euros, all of the stuff. We would appreciate it if you can support the channel. And if not, it's okay. We just ask you to hit the like, and please be sure to go ahead and share the show with everybody that you know, so we can keep on building up this empire together. Always going to be a phenomenal time, and we are so happy to be here with you all on today, and I can't wait to talk boxing, talk sports, talk the NBA, and talk about your thoughts and opinions. So without further ado, it's time to talk boxing, it's time to talk sports, it's time to have your voice to be heard, and so it's time for us to step into the ring, and it's time for the championship rounds. Let's get it popping, let's get it started, let's get it cracking in the world of sports as a whole. And for the big first topic of discussion that we have to go into, we know I had some stuff set that what we were going to talk about for this show. I had some questions lined up. I had some debates we were wanting to have, but I would be remiss because, again, we are more than just a boxing show. We primarily cover boxing, but in other bigger aspects of the sport, when it's time to talk, we do talk. And right now, we got a whole big dilemma coming down right now in the world of the NBA because as we have seen, and if you are not aware, LeBron James has now officially signed with the Philadelphia 76ers, and he will be running the last 2 seasons of his career as a full-blown Sixers player, going through the play with the likes of Joel Embiid and the rest of the crew in one of the most polarizing lineups that we have in the NBA today, without question. I'm telling you right now, it's a shock to the system. Everybody is shook up about the news, and everybody is absolutely all over themselves. I'll be completely honest. I was shocked. I was up prepping my stuff, prepping my show, getting my stuff ready for what was going down. And lo and behold, I see all across my timeline, LeBron signs with Philadelphia in one of the most unforeseen, yet in all honesty, incredibly dangerous decisions to be made for the rest of his career, because now we're going to see him partnered with some of the best front courts and back courts in the league, with Tyrese Maxey, with Jaylen Brown, who DJ just picked up, with Joel Embiid, the second best center in the NBA. I'm sorry, I'm talking so quick and I'm drinking. Again, we do etiquette matters. I do apologize, but this is ridiculous. Reckless danger is what we see right now for what this can pan out to be in a good and bad way. Yeah, I'm serious. And we're going to break down this whole move and this whole prediction of what we can see take place. And again, we're still covering boxing and all that stuff, but this is just something, it's too big for me not to discuss, because this is something that we've been covering on this channel, well, off and on, over the course of this entire NBA offseason. There ain't been much NBA to talk about, so we haven't been able to really discuss anything else except for boxing, which we've had a phenomenal time with. Give me just 5 minutes to do a quick reaction to this whole news and stuff, and we're going to get back into the world of what we normally do. But we still want to hear your thoughts and opinions, without question. Also, Joshin Wagner, how you doing? We appreciate you on the show. Thank you for showing up and showing out and tuning in to our live stream today. Let's go on and get this out the way now so we can get back to the boxing coverage, because I know that's what you all want to have. But this is too big not to go and cover. LeBron James signing with the Philadelphia 76ers is a monumental last step in his career, because this is going to be, without question, one of the best rosters in terms of starting fives he's ever been with, rivaling the Miami Heat that he had with Chris Bosh, Dwayne Wade, and himself as a big three, rivaling the likes of the Lakers when they had Anthony Davis, when they had Dwight Howard, JaVale McGee, Alex Caruso, Danny Green, Kentavious Caldwell-Pope, a roster of well-built abundance, rivaling Cleveland when he was Kyrie, Kevin Love, and LeBron, coupled with Iman Shumpert, J.R. Smith, Timothy Mozgov. For some people, not really all that, but you get what I'm saying. In terms of the old top to bottom aspect, Kevin Love also was on that team. The top to bottom aspect of what we see with this roster is one of the most dangerous we've ever seen LeBron lined up with. And after what we saw last year, not just in the regular season, but in the playoffs, getting the Lakers to the playoffs when we were seeing LA injured, getting them past and sweeping the Houston Rockets when they were not favored at all in that team, against that team, even without a Kevin Durant-led squad, because he had to sit out that series. Even without KD, there was still being said that they were going to beat LA, and they swept them. And then he goes and outplays SGA. Yes, they lose to at that point in time, the best team in basketball, and looking like from a top to bottom perspective. But on the whole, he did not shrink. If anything, he showed up and outplayed the current MVP of the league in his series that he lost in last year. This LeBron is still a top 10 level caliber player, at least top 15. No matter what you want to say, he's top 15, regardless of where you see his ability at right now. That is undeniable. And you're now pairing him with one of the best offensive teams outright. There is an entire squad of isolation players that we're dealing with on LeBron in Philly. He's got Joel Embiid that when he's healthy, has been the second best offensive center in the league, and the second best center in the league outright, who has been able to average 37 at one point in time and average 35 when he won MVP. I believe it was 35 and 12 rebounds, 12 and a half rebounds, if I'm not mistaken, when he won the MVP over Jokic. He's been one of the biggest difference makers. Put up 70 on Wemby. Has had a slew of stints of games where he's had 60 points, 40 points, 50 points. He's been a juggernaut. One of the most physically dominant players we have in the league right now. Ridiculous ability when he's healthy. If he's injured, it can be a problem. If he's not, though, or he's able to stave off these severe injuries going into the playoffs, this team is going to be dynamite. And every time we've seen LeBron play with somebody that is a true legitimate dominant big, he's either won a title or gotten close to a title. When he played with Chris Bosh, who was a transformative power forward playing center, implementing along with him and Kevin Love at that point in time when Kevin Love was in Minnesota, the stretch four era of basketball, he won a title. When he played with Anthony Davis, who was at that point in time arguably the best power forward or the second best power forward in the league, just behind Giannis, or outright he was one of the 5 best bigs and players in the league. He won a title and was dominant with AD. And now playing with Joel Embiid, this would be the best big man he's ever played with in his career. Legit. Without question. He always plays well off of them. He always does. Then you got Tyrese Maxey, who is averaging 30 with or without Joel Embiid there, is a ISO player that you can get a bucket on his own without needing any help. Takes a load off of LeBron. Jaylen Brown, one of the best two-way players in the league. Finals MVP, winning it over Jason Tatum, lest we forget, when he outplayed him twice in 2 straight finals, when they played against the Warriors and when they played and beat, I forget, who was the team that they beat? It wasn't Miami. It wasn't Miami, was it? It wasn't Denver. I forget which team they played to win the title, but when they won the title and getting there the second time, it was Jaylen Brown that was again outplaying his cohort, who was supposed to be the best player on this team. He has been able this season to have the best season of his career and carry this Celtics squad to a playoff position. Was getting MVP votes because of his carry job. This man has came up and showed out as a star in his own right, in a consistent all-star. We're going to see all of that alongside with VJ Edgecombe, he's not a rookie now, but the young player that was a rookie that was coming through and taking the league by storm as one of the best raw offensive players we had at the guard position from this young core of draftees that he came in with. This is a team that at the starting 5 position, now it looks like they're one of the most complete in the game, if not the most complete in the league. If their injuries hold up and they're able to keep on signing other free agents, because I guarantee you, after this, the dominoes will fall that we're going to get other people signing in the next couple days to weeks due to this news that LeBron has now officially gone through and taken his steps or taking his talents to Philadelphia. Oh, they can be lethal. They can be violent. They can be volatile. They can be so dangerous. And they can take this East by storm. Legit. They can legit take this East by storm and go and decimate everybody in their wake. It can get dangerous out here, y'all. I'm telling you, it can get dangerous. It can get dangerous. It can get so dangerous. But let me read you all's thoughts and reactions before I continue, because this is, like I said, this is huge news. I like the Philly move. Braun and Brown both know what it takes to win, and they are both elite players, absolutely. I'm not feeling it New York all day. Look, hey, y'all won. You won when you were supposed to win. I'll give you that. You did what you were supposed to do, and you got a chip when you needed to. If you all did not win a chip this year, I promise you, the window is going to close, that you'll be able to get it done in the latter half of Jalen Brunson's career. Now, granted, LeBron would have gone there if you all didn't win a chip. He said that publicly. But now we see there's no need to. But y'all got one. You all are still, even though you lost Mitchell Robinson, understandable, even though we wish James Dolan would go into that second apron for this team to keep this chemistry together and keep this roster intact, he said he's not going to. So they're going to lose some pieces. You'll still be one of the better teams in the East and can still get back to a title. You sign another center like with, is it Nick Richardson, I think that's on the docket right now. You sign him or somebody akin to him this offseason before the season starts. You got yourself a real potential to still make some noise, and potentially repeat. But it's looking sketchy. You got one. Can you get another? Right now, it's looking a whole lot harder. With Miami, with Giannis and Bam Adebayo, and if they can fill out that roster with free agents, that can potentially be a dangerous team. Philly right now with LeBron, lethal. Right now looking like the best team in basketball, at least out east. Without a doubt. Without a doubt. I don't think anybody will be pressed to say otherwise. That this team does not look like, at the moment, the best team in the Eastern Conference and potentially the best team in basketball, or at least top three from a on-paper perspective with that starting five, and then they can fill out a bench, which, mind you, has Anthony Simons on it. It can get scary for everybody out here. Mark my words. Boy, this is ridiculous. This is ridiculous. But this is what I live for. This is what we want. This is why we do this. Because we want to react to all this news, and we went on pins and needles. This is always insane. I love it. I love it. See, Timothy Taylor, how you doing? Good to see you. We appreciate you on the show. Thank you for showing up and showing out on our stream today. 5 ball stoppers and isolation players in the starting five is trouble. But you doggone right. Don't forget defensively. When, I'm not saying Joel Embiid, his best attribute is defense. He can be a legitimate physical presence and a rim protector. He can. He can also be somebody that can be a backline to be able to nullify people's willingness to get to the paint, forcing people to shift and change. He's not as good of a defender as Anthony Davis. He's not Rudy Gobert, but he is somebody that you have to, more than just respect, but you don't want to test him. You don't. And because of that, you have a big man that you can rely on defensively. You have Jaylen Brown, like we said, one of the 10 best defenders in basketball. He can't just put the ball through the hoop. He hasn't just tried to develop a left hand with his dribbling. He's legitimately one of the best perimeter defenders and straight up defenders that the NBA has to offer, and somebody that you can put on the best player on the other team, whether it's Steph Curry, whether it's, if we're going with the Wizards, Trae Young, whether it's Kyrie Irving when he comes back against Dallas, whether it is Damian Lillard, whether it is anybody at the 1 through 3 to even 1 through 4, he can go and stick them. Legitimately, you can rely on him to be a difference maker that can cause turnovers, cause fast breaks, and you can put him on an island and be just fine. And he's smart enough that he can wreak havoc on multiple levels of the floor. This is a man who is going to change the way this defense can work for the better. Mark my words, can cover the issues on defense that Tyrese Maxey may have. Oh, and with LeBron, who he's not as mobile as we've seen him in the past, but when he does want to lock it down and strap it down, this cat can go and strap people up. He can. Like, what? Don't let the narrative fool you. Oh, he doesn't play defense. Oh, he's lazy. If you actually watch him play, you'll see that LeBron uses his energy wisely when he goes and looks around the floor to go and understand what the offense is doing on the other side. Kind of like with Messi when he's playing football. We saw it in the World Cup, and we saw it when he played in MLS, and we see it now at the later stage of his career. This brother, he may look like he's just roaming. He's not roaming. He's watching, and then when it's the point of attack, he goes and takes it. He gets turnovers. He gets tackles. He gets through. All of a sudden, I didn't see him coming. How do you know this ball was going there? It's because his IQ is what drives his defensive assessment. That's what we see LeBron do. And on this team, when you got a primary defender in Jaylen Brown and a primary interior defender in Joel Embiid, all of a sudden, I can take the time to scan and then go through, still use my explosiveness that I do have, get passing lanes, chase down blocks, help on the helper, be able to switch and be able to take some rest, which can equate to when we get fast breaks, now we can run, now we can move. And now they have a roster where everybody's a threat. Everybody's a problem. Everybody's an issue. And everybody in the NBA now just realized $8 million for 2 years is about to turn into potentially an overhaul of a bench that can be even better. Because they saved a bunch of money signing one of the best, arguably the best player ever. And definitively right now, one of the tops in the league. Always about to get nasty for people out there. And we can talk about the legacy aspect of him signing with Philadelphia also in this show. But again, it's still the championship rounds. We want to hear from you. We're talking all things sports and boxing today, like we do every Friday. So we want to hear what you have to say on our show. The Knicks are still operating with a different dynamic than everyone else. Your core players having won together since college. That's right. Jalen Brunson and Josh Hart won the two. Hopefully they might get DiVincenzo back here if they can try to pluck him away from, was it Minnesota? I can't remember what team he's on, but maybe you can regroup that core and make it even stronger. The fact that they lost Mitchell Robinson is a concern. I'm not going to lie. He was one of the best aspects to help stop Wemby in the finals. That may hurt you down the line, but as a whole, yeah, there's still a team that is the team to beat for the standpoint of they are the reigning champs. And we always respect that without question. No team with zero shooters who's completely comfortable being wide open, being a wide open shooter has won an NBA championship. Well, I don't think this is a problem here with this squad, not this squad. Tyrese Maxey, Jaylen Brown, open in the corner, they can knock it down. LeBron James has been able to shoot above 37%, around 36%, 35%, over the past like 2 seasons. But on the whole, these last 5 years, we've seen him shoot up to 40% from 3. And he's been able to show he can play off ball like he played when Luka was playing with him. So whatever you want to do, he can do. And if it comes to spreading the floor, they got the ability. Joel Embiid, Jaylen Brown, Tyrese Maxey, Edgecombe, and LeBron all can shoot the 3 at a clip that you have to respect at minimum. At minimum. And you can pull one of them off the bench. But again, we can delve into that later on. But let me keep on reading your chats and responses. LeBron needs to retire. They're not going to be a great team. There is injury prone. The injuries are a concern. I'm going to tell you that. Injuries are a major concern for this show or for this team coming forward. And we're going to get into it if they get injured because that's a real possibility. Also, Ryan Graves, how you doing? Good to see you. We appreciate you on the show. Thank you for showing up and showing out. We got the audio fixed today so we can run all these sounds and stuff and be perfectly fine. Johnny Blaze, how you doing? Good to see you. We appreciate you on the show also. Thank you for showing up. Did anyone catch that Fury fight today? Nobody caught it because nobody was able to. It wasn't televised. Legit, it was not televised. So nobody can watch the Tyson Fury fight. It's a shame. I don't know what. Well, it was a charity event. It still counted for his record, I believe. But it was a charity fight that he was having over in Thailand. Nobody was able to see it because nobody was able to air it because it wasn't aired at all on any platform. It's a shame. We wanted to see. He fought Welch. I believe his name was Welch, something along those lines at heavyweight. It was a gimme fight, but like we couldn't see it. Nobody can see it because it's not televised at all. So that's why if you missed it, you're not the only one. Everybody missed it. Let me see. So I hate it because I wanted to see him and Paringa same weekend, see what they can do. But we got to find the highlights on YouTube somewhere. I've yet to find them. But hey, it is what it is. Let me see. Timothy Taylor, which two of them out of the 5 is going to be happy averaging 10 and 12 points a game? It will probably be LeBron because he is more than happy to be a willing passer. If anything, LeBron being the point guard on this team would be one of the best avenues to have this team offensively unlock in a way that they wouldn't be able to unlock otherwise. Maxey can still give you 30, and you let him run the Kyrie role, but be the primary perimeter scorer. Joel Embiid's going to be Joel Embiid. He's going to be taking shots. He's going to be taking buckets. You're probably going to load manage him, but you're still going to give him the brunt of the work. And then Jaylen Brown is going to still average 20 to potentially 23 because it's Jaylen Brown. We are seeing that unfold, and he'll probably dip to 15 points a game, but he'll average, or he can do work similar to what he did in LA when he was averaging 20, or no, when he was averaging, I think, what was it, 25 and 10, leading the league in assists that year when they won the title. He can just take on that role. And passing is effortless for him. The athleticism doesn't affect his ability to play make. So he could do that. and be on the squad to be perfectly fine. But let me keep on reading your chats and responses. Will Bronny go to Philly? No, he's gonna stay in LA. LA is not gonna give him up. I'm trying to make sure we got a whole bunch of people coming through. And be kind of washed, in my opinion. He's not washed. He just, because he played in the Olympics incredibly well. He just is glass. That's the problem. That's why you're going to probably not play him a bunch up until we get into close to the playoffs. But that's the goal. They're going to get to the playoffs regardless, because everybody ain't going to be hurt. And even if we had Maxey and Embiid hurt, you got LeBron and Brown and Edgecombe. That's still enough to get you to the playoffs out east specifically. Oh, yeah, they're going to be perfectly fine. And if he's healthy in the playoffs, we're going to be great. And we're going to be just good. Let me see. It was on Box Live. They didn't televise the fight. See, I didn't know where to find it. I couldn't find the Tyson Fury fight at all. If you could tell me, Al Booga, how did Tyson Fury fight if you were able to catch it? Because I couldn't find it on any platform, on any channel, nowhere at all. I didn't know. Enlighten me and tell me how you feel, and we can react based on your reaction, because I have yet to be able to see what Fury looked like on this or in this fight, preparing for Anthony Joshua, which if we see Joshua beat Paringa, we're going to get that fight with Anthony Joshua and Tyson Fury together. Will it be in Las Vegas or will it be in Wembley Stadium? We are not exactly sure. Just know it's going to happen. That's the thing. LeBron don't have the mentality to play power forward. No. He played power forward last year. I think he been playing power forward just about since he got to the Lakers. If I remember correctly, he's been playing power forward for roughly 8 years, his entire tenure, except for, again, the 2020 season on Los Angeles. I think that's kind of his thing. At this point in time, I'd rather him play point guard because what they have as a roster. But no, he can play whatever position that he wants to. You going to watch the Andrade card? That's a good question. Am I going to watch the Andre card? Ooh. What time is it? Because if it's around the same time as some of these other cards, I might have to prioritize like the Spence card. If it's around the same time, I'm probably going to have to prioritize that Spence fight, because that Spence fight is the one that I really want to see. Let me see. Beach Score, how you doing? Good to see you. We're going through, again, it's the championship rounds right now. We're discussing both the news that LeBron is traded to the Lakers, or to not traded. We're debating. Good gosh, I'm so excited. I'm going through and tripping up my words. We are discussing LeBron signing with the Sixers, but we're still in the championship rounds talking about boxing and beyond. And so we're going through everything in the landscape of sports as a whole. So we want to hear your thoughts and opinions, and still want to read what you had to say. And we're going to get to everybody's chats as much as possible in the best way that we can. And we're going to have to park the bus on some of these questions, because they are good questions. But we're going through. We got a lot of people talking right now. Where was it? Where was it? I think I just clicked on it. What was the chat? I just had it. Andre Carter answered that. Let me see. Who ran more? Devin Haney versus Ramirez, or Shakur versus Edwin De Los Santos? Haney liked to move. Haney likes to make excuses when Devin runs. They both ran. You can argue it. Honestly, I thought they did the same thing. I thought it was the same amount. Because, well, no. Shakur ran more egregiously than Devin Haney. Devin Haney ran and did some more work. Barely more, but did more work. But it was minuscule, minute. And it's almost on the same playing field. So I would say roughly, if we want to go inch by inch, Devin Haney ran more against De Los Santos. Or actually, no, I changed my mind. They ran the same. Shakur was a lot more volatile with his trying to jump back. But Devin Haney was like always right on the outskirts and would tease, I'm going to do something, and then wouldn't do nothing. Yeah, he got a good uppercut and a good 1-2 at one point in time, but that was it. And both of them were disgusting. Absolutely disgusting. So I would say it's even, just about. Let me see. Oh no, I read on on Box Live that they didn't tell him. Okay. So you didn't get to see it. You read it. They went. Okay. Thank you for the clarification. I appreciate it. I'm sure trying to make sure I tag everybody. The fight starts at 6 today. Shoot. Well, I ain't gonna be able to see it, so I can't really discuss it. We hope it's gonna be good. Let me see. The Andre. Oh, that fight's tonight. Wait a minute. Hold on. That fight's tonight. See, this LeBron news got me all scrambled because every it got me doing stuff so quick. I'm losing what I had on my calendar for what the world is going down. Let me find this out. Let me pull up the boxing schedule real quick to see what actually is going down today and this weekend. So it is going to be per ESPN. I'll even pull it up right now so you all can see it with us or with me here. Where's that? Where is it at? There we go. Per ESPN on what they have for the boxing schedule coming up. July 25th, Joshua versus Pringa. Spence versus Tim Sue. Same day tomorrow. And then Shields, Roller Romero in August against Tio. And Fury Watch. You have Daniel Bear. That's today. Oh, okay. So Demetrius Andre, that's today also in Connecticut. Against Douglas. I think it's Adade. Douglas Adade. And I'll be completely honest. I'm not uber invested in him coming back and returning. Excuse me. I'm sorry. I had his pulled up and I forgot to come through and put it on the screen. I am not bigly invested in him returning Demetrius Andre. Boo-boo. Because this is his first fight in how long? I think. Well, I think the last time I remember him fighting was against David Benavidez, if I'm not mistaken. And when he got beat, he didn't fight again, did he? He talked a lot. I remember he was still calling out people and still saying, I'm gonna do something. Unless I'm tripping, this will be his legit first comeback fight since Benavidez. And if so, he's in the same boat as Errol Spence right now. How much do you have in the tank with somebody that was so unique and moving with his ability to pivot and use angles and be speedy and all that stuff? I'm not sure if I'm uber excited to go and say, I want to see that fight live. Because in all honesty, I don't expect a whole much from Andre. That's not me trying to be, mean or putting a bad light. I don't expect a lot from him. I don't at this point in time. I don't expect a lot from Boo Boo to be able to go and make something, really shake up and oh my gosh, at 168 or 175, whatever the world weight class he's at. He's gonna do something phenomenal. I don't see it. I just don't see it right now. So I'm not as pressed to watch it. If I do say so, I'm more focused on the weekend's action than that fight. But if he surprises us, great, cool. We'll see how it goes. But let me see. If it don't work, LeBron will be cut and released. Philly has too much invested in Maxey and Brown. Minimum contract players have zero leverage in the NBA. Well, see, here's the other issue. Why would you cut LeBron? Even from a business perspective, if he didn't work, why would you cut LeBron just to sell tickets? If let's say all of a sudden he bottoms out, it's not going to happen. But if he did, you're paying $8 million and just his name being there is going to make every single stadium go out. Especially since you have to understand, this is LeBron's last decision. Be clear. We're talking about this and not just because, it's a big time move. He put it out on Twitter, and ESPN even posted it on their channel. You can see it. This is his last stop. There is no next place for LeBron after this. He's done. The next 2 years are the last 2 years of LeBron James' career outright. Again, this quotations is his quote that he put on Twitter explaining why he signed with Philadelphia and a whole thread that he had. But this is it. And so from a business perspective, why would you want to give $8 million up for your guaranteed sold out last ride? And from a player perspective, it's LeBron. I got this money for $8 million. Even if it doesn't pan out, guess what? I'm going to have the cap space to be able to keep Brown, keep Embiid, and if he just needs to be a quote unquote a Udonis Haslam type player, I'm just a coach on the bench. Again, it's not going to happen because he's not going to fall that low ever in his life. But if it did, he would still be okay. It would still be valuable. You would just be paying $8 million for it at that point in time, an IQ head. And it would be worth it because he's able to go through and still dissect a multiplicity of defenses, game plans and all, because he's done his entire career. I don't think it's going to hinder. The only thing that would hinder this team would be how to share the ball between Jaylen Brown, Maxey, and Joel Embiid. LeBron being ball dominant is not going to be a big factor because he didn't need to be ball dominant against the likes of Luka, or with the likes of Luka, when he played in LA, and he was just fine. They were looking like they were going to be a big threat in the Western Conference before Luka's injury. Legitimately, they looked like they were getting stuff together. And he was honestly the third option scorer, with Reeves and Luka being 1 and 2. So I don't think it's going to hinder. I think it can work. It's just the injuries. It's just the injuries that are the biggest concern. If the injuries don't hinder them, they can fly and be phenomenal. If they do, well, now we're looking at a dangerous situation, especially because they don't have another big man outside of Joel Embiid that, okay, you can sub in. And if you do, it's Yabu Sele, and they might have traded that brother. And so it might just be one big and nobody else. I need to check the depth chart, but that, again, can of words, that could be an issue down the line. But let me keep on reading your chats. We still want to hear from you and have your questions and comments be heard. Devin Haney clearly ran more than Shakur fought with one hand. Yeah, again, the context, Shakur fought with one hand. Absolutely. And Devin Haney healthily. Okay, no, I see what you're saying now. Devin Haney had both hands, no injuries, no problems, and still ran the way that he did. Shakur at least had an injury validly that was an excuse that I can't fight just straight up with him. I need to go through and actively stay away. Devin Haney had no reason to stay away from Ozzy Ramirez. Okay, I see what you're saying there, and that Devin Haney ran more. No problem with that. No problem with that. I still say that they're both bad performances, without a doubt, but I understand that level of logic. Let me see. Boo Boo career is cooked. I'm good. Yeah, no, I'm not privy on Boo Boo Andrade because at this point in time, he chased Kindle, but then even when he was trying to chase Kindle, he didn't go through and do his own work in the way to put himself where you were undeniable. I get my shot with Canelo regardless. And when you had the opportunity to against Benavidez, you got dog walked and beat up and made to quit on your stool. You were the one that shook your head. I get it because it's David Benavidez, but that's what happened. And since that point in time, you have not done anything and been out of the ring. And people, for the most part, have forgotten that you were in the sport, not in a disrespectful way. I don't say that disrespectfully. I'm saying that that's the reality. And now you're working your way back up, and there's a whole new landscape of younger crop of talent. You still may be able to compete, but I need to see how much competitive fervor you have at this point in time if you can back up the talk that you talk. And if you can't, it's gonna show up. But I'm not really interested to see it live because it ain't all that. It ain't all that. It is not all that. That's that. Now let me see. Is Joshua versus Pringles? Pringles. Look, Paringa. Y'all said. Is Joshua versus Pringles really pay-per-view? It is, and again, it's because it's Anthony Joshua. Again, this is why we don't like the pay-per-view model all that much, because fights that don't need to be pay-per-view, they are. And it's illogical because they're not worth the time. They are not. This is not worth the fight. That is not worth the fight. To have Anthony Joshua and Pereira as a pay-per-view event, to go and set up Anthony Joshua having the capacity to face off against Tyson Fury, that just shouldn't be. At least Tyson Fury versus Joshua, that's on Netflix. Okay, fine. It's going to be on Netflix almost assuredly. Cool. Whatever. But Pereira should not be, I shouldn't be paying out 60 bones, 80 bones for a fight that is a fringe ending of your run at the top. Even if you are a big name, or at least if you're going to do it, make it a little bit more feasible. A little bit less, $10. 15 maybe, just out of respect. But it doesn't make sense. It doesn't make sense to me. Again, that's just me though. But you say you got Pereira in terms of Ryan Graves, you got Pereira, KO, and Joshua. Now that, hold on. Hold on. Wait a minute. Wait a minute. You got Pereira KO on him. Now, I would love to hear your reasoning as to why. But I understand where it would be. Or where that logic would fall. Pereira, per BoxRec, again, for those of you that use BoxRec as a way to gauge who these fighters are, I believe it was, is he 21-1? Or is he, I think 21-1 or 22-1 with 20 KOs on his resume? Every win he's had has been by KO. Literally 100% knockout ratio for every fight that he's won. But he's not a highly rated fighter who hasn't fought highly rated opposition. Anthony Joshua is still a dangerous person. But Anthony Joshua is also liable to get caught and knocked out or caught and buzzed to where he's in danger. I understand that. And I would be confident that he's going to get knocked out if we were watching an Anthony Joshua that was less useful in his defensive posture, like he was against Daniel Dubois. However, I think that what we see with Usyk, this is going to make that issue go away, or at least be more acclimated to minimize the risk of getting caught like that. So this is why I'm saying it should be a gimme fight. But it's also a fight that we need to see Anthony Joshua put all of that stuff that we see with Usyk, training him to be, into practice. Because if he doesn't, it can be a problem. And he can't get upset. And he can't get knocked out. And he can't be put into a situation where this whole Tyson Fury fight goes up in smoke because there's no chance of it happening, because there's no need to see it happen, because we're seeing this fight go in the gutter. Because you lost. So he's got to put it together. And I think he will. Because I trust that we're going to see AJ be the complete fighter that we used to see him be. Responsible, aware, powerful, deliberate, but also collected when it comes to being in the ring. Because that's the yin and yang that he lost. And if he can find that again with Usyk, he can find that in this fight with Pereira. That can lead you to a world of trouble. It can't. It really can't. I would expect if they made it like $14.99. Yeah, I would, but sadly it's not, because again, this is boxing. In boxing, it's gonna be pretty penny. Let me see, the card is stacked, but I don't even know half of them. It's a lot of people, and again, a lot of people ain't gonna know, and a lot of people aren't gonna know a lot of people, because this is a fight over in Saudi Arabia that is supposed to be a set up fight. It's supposed to be a fight. We've seen it before. We're there to watch one man come back and be something special. You are. I mean, if to be perfectly honest, I was prepared to see that type of situation for Errol, Spence, and Tim Tszyu. I was prepared for that card to not really be as stacked, because I understood the majority of people that are coming to see the fight were just coming to see Errol Spence be great one more time and show that he still got it. Not necessarily for the rest of the people on the card. So I was thinking they might not even put great names up there, because, the people just want to see the one man. So, you're here for a comeback. We'll get what we can, but we ain't going to try to really push the envelope. Thankfully, they did a better job. They had Charlo. They have Stephen Fulton. They lost Charlo because he couldn't get into the country. But again, at least we're having it happen. And it's pretty decent. But that's what we're seeing with Anthony Joshua. Where is it? Joshua defense is terrible and he has no chin. Yeah. Again, it used to be better. It used to be a whole lot better. And previously, before the fight with Daniel Dubois, we were saying he's too defensive and too conservative. He put the defensive stuff together, high guard, fighting tight, being able to make sure he doesn't expose his chin. All that stuff he was doing was happening before Daniel Dubois, but he wasn't punching at all in the way that we wanted him to, with the confidence out of being defensively responsible, because he was still fighting scared. We hopefully that we see Usyk not fighting scared anymore. And some people say we can use the Anthony Joshua fight as a means to gauge, the Anthony Joshua fight versus Jake Paul as a means to gauge of what we may see on that night. I don't know if that's valid. I just know people are going to have that as that's the most recent thing we've seen from him. What did we show? At least he was bobbing up and down. He was trying to go and give different looks. He was trying to keep his head off the center line to some degree, using body feints and punch feints to try to get Jake Paul to back up. Again, it's Jake Paul who's a bum. So we're not saying this was, this is what he is now in all respect. But that's the only foundation people have at this point in time with the new Anthony Joshua. We wish it was against somebody that was competent, which is what we're getting now. Not great, but competent. And we'll see how it works out. We will. Let me see. That's correct. I think Pringa is Joshua level, but not that great. Good gosh, you think Joshua fell that far? You think Joshua fell that far? Shoot, hold on. Wait a minute. You think Joshua fell that far? There's still a level that you have to beat Anthony Joshua. I don't think Pringa is even remotely close to Joshua level. I just know that Pringa, as a puncher, is the biggest weapon, has the biggest weapon that you need against Joshua, which is just crack. You need crack, not cocaine. You need crack, like punch power. You might need to take some of that white stuff to go get more power, but you get what I'm saying. All of a sudden, I'm good to go now. No, you might need that. But on the whole, the ability to throw, to make Anthony Joshua second guess or be tentative, is the best weapon to help you feel confidence against Joshua. Because it's the best weapon that can nullify all that stuff. Because he may be the bigger puncher, but you can be just as dangerous against him if you can crack and get him in trouble. And a lot of people can't. Let me see. A Fury versus AJ is still a big fight, but they're so washed at this point. It's kind of like Tim versus Spence. Yeah, I mean, how do we say this? It is washed, or it is. The fight has lost a lot of luster, and this is why I've always said that we need to have fights happening earlier. This is why I was so tuned up to have Zayas versus Boots happen now, and not say he's too young. Because if we wait around and say he's too young, it's gonna go from he's too young to he doesn't have enough titles, to then eventually, now he's ready, but you're out of the division, and now he's aged out. We don't want to see that fight because it wasn't the same. We just need to have the fights happen when they're supposed to be there to alleviate all of this noise. You can say somebody is too young, but you can't say somebody, if you fight him young, they ain't physically there to do something damaging. You take that element out of it at minimum. That's what I'm saying I want to see for Tyson Fury and AJ. I want to see them in their prime. I wanted to see them fighting. Belt or no belt. Title or no title. Just to have them be able to say who's the best British heavyweight of this generation. Because it is going to be the biggest all-British fight we have ever seen between two people in the British boxing landscape that have reached the pinnacle in the sport and faces of the country. There's never been that at the heavyweight division for the UK. It would be a massive event, even to this day. But back then, when they had the belts, it would have been even bigger. Huge. It's just the fact they waited around too long. And build it up, build it up, build it up somebody lost, up somebody else lost, up somebody got knocked out. Oh, somebody else got knocked down. Now, none of y'all got belts, none of y'all got titles, and none of y'all have an undefeated record or even a one-loss record going into this. This is a fight that should have been bigger because it should have happened sooner. But because it didn't, we're dealing with the aftermath in a very bad light. In a very bad light, we're dealing with the aftermath. And it's a shame. For real. Really, it's a shame. Because it should not be like this at all. It should not be like this at all. That we're experiencing this fight done in a way that it's still a major event, but it's not in the same zenith of expectation and fever pitch. All because they waited around. All because they waited. That's the only shame. Let me see. What do you think about the return of Andy Ruiz? So, Andy Ruiz is coming back. He's looking skinnier. He's looking, some people may say, too skinny in some respects. And because of that, I am fearful that he is just never going to be able to get back to that form that he was. Because Andy Ruiz, right now, let me look up his last couple fights. I know he beat Chris Arreola, but it was a war doing it. He had a draw he beat Chris Arreola in a war. He beat King Kong Luis Ortiz, but that was a tougher fight than I expected. And then he had a draw against Jarrell Miller that Jarrell Miller should have won. And since then, he priced himself out of a fight with Deontay Wilder. And now he's coming back, but it is for significantly less money and not nearly going to move him up like he wants to get back to the heavyweight landscape of being a competitor. Andy Ruiz right now is a gatekeeper level heavyweight. He is. He's the type of guy that you most likely would see Moses Atalma or Tara Moana go and fight, to go and see how good are you when you're looking to fight at the elite level of talent up here at heavyweight. Don't be surprised. Again, Atalma's already at the championship threshold right now. He's getting ready. He's potentially he's number one contender to fight for the title, and is actually in position to be in negotiations to fight for a title, I believe. But we would have seen him if we didn't get this championship opportunity. Now, we would have seen him go on and fight the likes of most likely Andy Ruiz. Tara Moana would have fought Andy Ruiz. Richard Torres, if he didn't get knocked out by Frank Sanchez, I wouldn't have been surprised at all if they were still trying to develop him, which they should have kept on doing. He would have fought Andy Ruiz at some point in time, because that's the type of threshold fighter you need to have. That's what he is right now until he proves otherwise. And right now, he don't look like he's going to be proving anything anytime soon. I tell you what, let me see. When Brook and Khan fought, it was a massive... It was massive. Ben and Eubank, UK fans are hardcore. They are. Okay, this is not me saying that those other fights weren't big. They've had huge events. They've had huge fights. Huge fights. They have. They've had massive fights in the UK. But what they haven't had is two people at the Showtime division. Again, heavyweight's the glamour division. Everybody wants to see heavyweight because everybody wants to see him get knocked out. Because everybody can get knocked out. It's the biggest men punching the biggest. That is the glamour division of boxing, as Matt Kellerman says. There have been bigger rivalries. But in terms of zenith on zenith, The UK never experienced this type of Pantheon versus Pantheon level fighter, where Anthony Joshua ran the heavyweight division and the globe and the face of the sport. And then at the same time, Tyson Fury took the crown before him and at one point in time ran the heavyweight division. And then when they were both on top, they both were still running the heavyweight division with battling for who is the biggest name up here. Again, this is before Usyk came up here, or was was the threat that he was coming up here. It was Wilder, Fury, and AJ. Not necessarily in that order. More likely it was, not even more likely, concretely it was Anthony Joshua, Tyson Fury, Deontay Wilder. With Wilder, with Fury and AJ being the two outright leading names battling for the head of state when it came to the boxing face of heavyweight. The UK never had that. And the UK was, over here in America, I could feel the tension of excitement that the UK fans were having if we got that fight for the undisputed title between those two. Wembley Stadium might not have been big enough. It might not have. It would have been so big, they might have had to build another stadium with how fervently it was wanted for that fight to happen between them two when they were both at the top of the world. I'm telling you, it was ridiculous. It was preposterous, the amount of excitement and the amount of bravado. It was going to be. Most people, even overseas, they were saying, this is going to be one of, if not the biggest fight in UK boxing history, if this took place. That's why I'm saying this, if it had happened sooner, the amount of luster would have been immense. It would have been immense. It would have been preposterous. I wish it had happened sooner. The UK fans got spoiled, and they're about to get spoiled again if this fight doesn't happen over in the UK. Because it should not be, for me, it should not be over here in the States. I don't care how much money you think it's going to bring. It should not be over here in America. It should not be, that fight should not be over here in the U.S. I don't care what you think business is going to be. This is not going to be what you think it can be if we didn't have this over in the UK. I can promise you. Don't believe me? Look at what happened with Naoya Inoue and Junta Nakatani. If that fight was in the States, and it would have been a big fight, absolutely. We knew that fight was coming. Even fans over here in America were excited when that fight got about a week out. But if the fact that it was over there in Japan made it one of the most bought out events and the biggest Japanese fight ever. And one of the 4 biggest fights ever in history. Location is important, not just because of revenue, but because of the connection to the story. And right now, that story is not going to be the ending that we want if we don't have it over in the UK. I can guarantee you it's going to backfire. It's not going to be, not just the end to the whole cycle and drama, but even revenue-wise. You think you're going to make more money over here. You may not, because of what we know the UK fan base wants. They're still supporting this fight. They're still egging for this fight to happen. It would be remiss not to give it to them in their hometown. Be like if we had Spence versus Crawford over in Saudi Arabia. It'd be frustrating. It would be big. It would have still been big. But my gosh, the fact he was over here in the States, look at what he did. Look at what it meant. Look at the lasting effect. It's a story that we love forever. It was about memorabilia, seats from that fight. We need to have that. We need to have that. Eubanks versus Conor Ben. That happened in the UK. It could have happened in the US, but if it did, it wouldn't have been the same at all. Give this to the fans where this organically should be it. That's all I'm saying. That is all I'm saying. Do that and we'll be just fine. We will be just fine if you do that. If you don't let the money blind you from what actually should happen. Please do not. Because if you do, it can get bad. And speaking of big time fights, and we brought up Terrence Crawford, like I said, we're still going through and reacting to the world of boxing as a whole in the sports landscape. We had some news, in fact, coming out with some recent interviews, not just with the fight with not just in the fight with Tim Tszyu and Errol Spence, but also stuff with Terrence Crawford and his reaction to this whole comeback story of Errol Spence in boxing. Specifically, we're going to start with Tim Tszyu first. Mind you, we're still in the championship rounds. We're still hearing your thoughts and opinions on everything involving the world of sports and beyond. That includes LeBron James going to the 76ers, your reactions to it all, questions that you have for me, debates and concerns you want to have about that whole saga. Will it work? Can it work? How will it work? All that stuff, or other things like with Tim Tszyu, Errol Spence, Shakur Stevenson, and his next fight, whether it's Valenzuela or others, his landscape of career going forward. If you want to see a different fight that we're not bringing up that could be a big deal, all of that, Devin Haney, whatever you want to discuss, we can have it in the chat to have your opinions and thoughts. But let me play this clip with Tim Tszyu talking about the drug testing going on in the fight with him and Errol Spence, or rather the lack thereof, that he is kind of concerned about. And I'll let Tim Tszyu tell it for you himself as he transition into picture and picture.
There should be drug testing, and I haven't been drug tested either. Yeah, right. So there should be drug testing. That's 100%. So yeah, interesting.
Is there anything you can do between now and fight day in terms of that?
What's that?
Anything you can do or would do or like see?
Me, I can only do what I can do. But to see something done, well, I think I'm not going to accuse him and think that he's been doing something, you know. I don't know. Honestly, I've got no answer to that.
A storm.
As you can see outside, the audio, not of my device, but of the interviewee, was incredibly low. I tried to do the best I can with it. But essentially, Tim Tszyu was saying that there is no drug testing that was happening for this fight with him and Errol Spence, and he hasn't even been drug tested yet going into this event. And that is a little bit, not even a little bit, that's a lot of concern for me, especially with the drama that we just had or just came out of. When it came to Ryan Garcia, when it came to, we were making jokes about Jarrell Miller, but all these other situations of fighters popping dirty, Conor Benn versus Ryan Garcia being the biggest, most recent noise when it comes to PED versus PED, drughead versus drughead, who's going to win the battle of the steroids. Do we want that again? No. Do we want any excuses? No. Do we want any problems? No. Because of that, we need to get some drug testing going on. If even Tim Tszyu is saying, hey, I haven't been drug tested yet for this fight, what's going down? Now again, he said in the clip he doesn't want to accuse Errol Spence of doing anything. He's not saying he's that type of guy. It's just the fact that we don't have any tests going down. What? Incredibly concerning. I don't like that. Also because of the fact, not just on Tim Tszyu's front, and it can be a two-way street. With how we saw where Manny Pacquiao got done wrong by the judging in Australia when he lost his title to Jeff Horn, which should not have happened at all. Jeff Horn lost that fight clean, but corruption was there. And now with the big time star going back to Australia, and this could be a situation where, hey, Tim Tszyu potentially could get stuff in his favor, not just with judging, but with potentially stuff going awry and operations normally done not being done. Be clear, I'm not saying that's what's happening. I'm saying that is a concern that crops up on both ends of the spectrum because of not just history of past events, but also the current landscape of what we want to see for safety and protocol and the drama around drug testing right now. Why hasn't anybody been drug tested yet for this fight at all? And it's just Tim Sue admitting this. He said he has not even been drug tested yet. There is a problem. There is an issue. There's a concern that we have to understand. We are in a bad situation. That this opens up conversation for very dangerous accusations that we don't want to have. I know I don't want to have it. I know I don't want to have that. Why would anybody want to have that? So, this is a cause for concern. And I guarantee you, if something shifty happens afterwards, this is going to be a bigger drama. I'm just letting you know right now, there's already some red flags. Not blaming anybody on Errol, Spence, or Tim Sue. I'm not blaming anybody yet. I'm talking about the process is going wrong, per Tim Sue's own words. And if the process is going wrong, guess what that leads to? Openings for what can go wrong might and will go wrong. We don't need that, especially not right now. Especially in a situation where both of them are coming back from very serious damage. We don't need nobody putting their life on the line any more so because somebody potentially, even if it's not them trying to, gets an unfair advantage. Because there's no drug test. And it could be a problem. Well, it could be. It really could be. Let me see. Wasn't there a podcast with a dude getting Spence, gosh, to pee for him a lot and it popped for steroids? I don't remember any podcast like that. I don't remember ever seeing that. Now, if it did happen, please enlighten me. You can put a link in the thing and people can click on it. I'm not exactly sure. I haven't seen anything. I just know that I'd rather keep that private, but I'd rather still get the results before this fight even takes place. So we don't have potential stuff of, oh, the cup came back and now this brother is however many grams above a certain position or a certain threshold. Now we got ourselves in danger. Oh my gosh. I don't need that. I don't want that. I don't desire that. And I don't even want to have that as a potential option. So please, whatever the case, get it done. I'm not sure about this podcast. I've never seen this or heard of this situation before. But even if I haven't, I'm not saying it ain't happened. I'm simply saying there needs to be some tests. That's all I'm saying. Because this cannot slide. The process can't slide. Because the process can lead to danger. That's all. That's the biggest thing. That's the biggest thing. But again, we're still talking about more with the Errol Spence fight specifically. I think it was Terrence Crawford that had some things to say about the whole situation of Errol Spence signing the fight with him, and all of a sudden now saying, "Oh, we'll just." What do you say? In fact, before I even go and try to quote it, let me pull up this link. I'm gonna pull this up, and I'll play the whole conference if I can find it. I should be able to find it. I know I saved it here. No, it's not that one. Here we go. Talking about Errol Spence in the past, going through the whole rematch situation. Why didn't something take place? Why didn't something get signed and all that stuff? When he was on all the fight, I think it's with Akim Barak. I believe it is her names. And he went through some interesting situations about what the excuses have for people potentially taking credit away from that fight. And his response to him saying, well, stuff could have been done if you really wanted it to get done. But I'm going to play the clip and then I'm going to go and see your reactions to it. And still, I want to hear your reactions to everything that we have on this show today. Let me play this in full so you can see exactly what I'm discussing. And we'll talk about the clip afterwards. Make sure you all can see it. Yes, you can. There we go. There we don't go.
Rock was talking about people always going to come up with excuses, right?
We good? Are we good? Hello?
People always going to come up with excuses, right? I'm not sure if You watched the recent interview with Errol and Dre and how he talked about what went wrong that night when he fought you, right? One of the things that he mentioned was he barely sparred in that ring. Derek James was only doing pad work with him. And I'm paraphrasing. I don't know every detail, but that was the gist of it, where he didn't get the proper training camp, which it is an excuse. When you first watched that, if you did, what's your first take on it?
I just was like, hey, it is what it is. I didn't take too much out of it because, that fight was in 2023.
Right.
So,
Right.
Why bring all that and come up with it now?
Right now, after
I
all
think
this
he
time.
was asked, because he could have made an excuse 3 years ago. He didn't.
But my thing is
He was just asked.
My thing is this. That just leave the door open for an excuse for all the people to say, oh, that's why he beat him. And we knew it was something wrong with him. And this and that.
Yeah.
Like, he fought the same way with me that he fight every single fight.
Yeah.
And to know, if I know that I wasn't at my best and that I was hindered from something in camp, I wouldn't have fought.
Right.
I wouldn't have fought, especially at this
That
height
fight,
of a level of fight, knowing everything that's on the line for this fight. I just can't grasp myself going into a fight unprepared.
Yeah. I mean,
especially against this guy that people been putting me against for 5 years.
That's what I'm saying.
That's the thing. You would think that it would be his best and most important training camp.
There you
right?
go.
This is the fight of your life. So I think in hindsight, you can say that had he won the fight, then nobody would have been mentioning this stuff. But what about...
Then on top of that, not to mean to cut you off, then on top of that, it's a rematch clause.
Yeah, that's true.
So it's like, all right, I wasn't at my best, but sign me up.
Right.
We gotta do that. We gotta do that again.
And you would have honored that in front of him again.
So if it was a problem, he can get past that and get that rematch.
Yeah. Now let me show y'all.
Saying.
Let me show y'all that.
Yeah.
I wasn't at my best.
I wasn't at my best, and I can beat this dude.
So that was the gist of the clip. That was the whole clip. Actually, in regards to Terrence Crawford reacting to the whole thing of, heard the whole stories with the camp, the training, all that stuff, and his response to it and saying, if that was the case, you should sign the rematch. Errol Spence then responded after that, crazy enough, after the press conference in regards to that, saying that very reason as to why he did not sign said rematch with Terrence Crawford.
The reason you didn't take the rematch?
I mean, a rematch. When was the rematch going to be? Within a year? I wouldn't have been ready. So how would I take a rematch if I'm not going to be ready?
The reason you didn't take the rematch?
So again, he says, when would the rematch have been? In a year, because if it was in a year, I wouldn't have been ready at that point in time. Again, reiterating because sometimes with the bass going about in the background on the clip might have made it hard to hear. But that's what transpired. And so we brought up the conversation about Errol Spence in regards to this whole fight with Tim Sue and the aftermath of him potentially getting the fight with Errol Spence again. And all of a sudden everybody's saying, oh, if you look good here, maybe we can get that rematch finally. And we can finally put this to bed, all this debate. And here's the thing I had to say, if I may be inclined to give my 2 cents on the matter. Terrence Crawford and Errol Spence both are justified in their position. Errol Spence wasn't going to be ready by the time that rematch took place. I think even we discussed that when we were saying, will this fight happen above 154 or at 154 after the beatdown, directly after the fight? We were like, he might not have a rematch after this. Terrence Crawford is justified in saying with Errol Spence revealing all this stuff now, even though it is 3 years after. And it's not seen as, he's just making excuses for why the loss, because he did take it on the chin. It still opens up the door to make people say that's why it happened. And if that is the case, you should have signed the rematch to say, hey, I got it wrong last time. We can get it right this time, and I'm going to show you this was a fluke. Both are justified in their response. But from my perspective, Errol Spence should have signed the rematch and then let it be known, hey, I tried, but I can't make the fight because I need to recover. Rather than letting the rematch clause go by. Because in Terrence Crawford's eyes and people that support Terrence Crawford, it looks like now, hey, brother, we understand all of that. But there was a clear opportunity that you could rectify this. Even if you needed to go and make time and say, I got to take some time off, that's perfectly fine. But at least you could have shown that there was some investment in, I want to run it back. And you said you wanted to run it back on camera, in public, in the ring, after the fight. Remember, you can go back and watch it because it's on PBT's website, on YouTube. You can watch the whole fight in the interview on YouTube. He said it. We need to run it back at 154. I need to move up to 154. I need to get my weight up, literally, in order to be better. Because I'm drained down here and my body can't take it down here. Perfectly fine. Perfectly understandable. But there were, even if you want to say you wouldn't have been ready, you could have at least shown, I do want to get back. You didn't even show that. And to them, now, that's like, you can't say that, oh, stuff was awry. And it's still valid, sure. But to them, it's irrelevant. Because if that was the case, you could have signed the pen and said, look, this wasn't right. We gonna get it right next time. And in the process, hey, I do want the rematch, but we got to negotiate it a little bit differently because I need to recover right now. Even with that, Terrence Crawford might have said, hey, okay, I understand that. Even if we don't get to fight now, at least you did sign that you want it. And if you got to recover, I get it because I beat the brakes off of you. And do what you got to do. And we'll cross that bridge afterwards when we get there. But we just at least know you do want to get it right. And you showed us that level of mentality. I still want that work. That's the thing. And that's why I think there's been this whole debacle, or rather this whole debate. If you wanted it, you could have gotten in the ring. Or you could have said you wanted it and signed that you wanted it. And we could have made accommodations afterwards if, okay, it can't happen by next year because I'm not going to be ready. But still, let me show you I still want to get my revenge. I think that's what Terrence Crawford is saying. That is the biggest issue. Because all that other stuff could be well and good, but you still could have showed us you still wanted to go and get back. Or, excuse me, and get it back in blood. Even if it was later. And I could have been like, okay, I get that. I would have honored. Assuming, again, going off again, my assumptions, assuming if we had still got to this stage, it would have been like, hey, I get it. We can wait 2 years if need be. And we'll get that rematch when you do return. And if it's longer than that, we'll go. And if I'm still around, we'll see what happens. And to be completely honest, that fight is still on the table. It sounds insane, I know. It really does. But it is on the table that we could get that rematch. Because of the fact there's 3 players involved with this. Errol Spence, Terrence Crawford, and a third liaison that's been trying to go through and get Terrence Crawford to come back into boxing for a number of years. And that's Turki Al-Sheikh. And it sounds like I'm just being belligerent. But I'm not. Because Turki has been, even as recently as, I think this week, was putting stuff on social media that he was saying that he wanted Terrence Crawford. He thinks Terrence Crawford is going to come back out of retirement. And he had that same look in his eyes when he said that, as just like he had said when he's like, oh, we're going to make that fight with Usyk and Fury happen. Mark my words. And, you know, it's that same gaze in his eyes, or glint in his eyes, when he's saying we're gonna make stuff shake. He's going to be still trying to throw money and look for a position to say, hey, this is the perfect time. And if we do see Terrence Crawford, who's going to go to the fight and watch Errol Spence fight and potentially win and support the brother, we see that take place. And all of a sudden it gets to a point where people say, ooh, we might actually want to see that rematch because Spence is looking completely different. People are going to run with the narrative. Crawford, you still got some work to do. And it'll be worth the time, worth the money, at a higher weight, and with the backing of most likely Turkey, wanting to throw a bunch of duck against a fighter that, mind you, he may not have anything to prove, but I guarantee you, Crawford feels some type of way about the level of disrespect that is going to be thrown his way. If we see Spence win, look better than ever, or look as good as we remember, and now it was the weight that was the issue, and it further diminishes what people may feel about his victory against Errol Spence and saying you need to justify it by coming back. It's a perfect storm. From the standpoint of storytelling and players in play, it's there. And so we can see there is a world where that can lead to a situation. Not saying it's guaranteed, just saying it is possible that it could snowball. It could. And if it does, it's going to be wild ride. It's going to be a wild ride if it does. Let me see. You think Fulton beats Wilson? I don't know because Stephen Fulton, that weight is now at 133 pounds, up from 126 that you're supposed to come back down to. If we don't remember, Stephen Fulton was needed to come down to 126 because he got beat up by O'Shaquie Foster and got absolutely decimated and was not able to compete at this higher weight. And so because of that, he had to come down, do work, and get back to form. And now he's fighting Leah Wilson, the same brother who almost knocked out Emmanuel Navarrete at 130 or at 126 pounds when Navarrete was down or getting up to the division in his first fight. I remember, because I was seeing that brother almost put out Drain Street. I mean, just rocking days to kingdom come, going left, right, and center. Almost ended this entire rise that we've seen from Navarrete now. Early. That's the buddy that he's fighting. And Stephen Fulton, his words, but I'm struggling to make the weight. And I'll even let him tell you what his mindset is in making and having his weight at 133 pounds at a catch weight, essentially, right here in this clip that he had in the press conference yesterday. If it will play. Will it play? Hold on. Will it play? There we go.
Top table. Stephen, thanks so much for joining us here today. Has it been a struggle the last couple of days? We didn't see you at the open workouts yesterday, and now we have this news that we are fighting above the limit.
Alhamdulillah. I like to say, before this even came about, like weeks ago, I requested that. But, you know, we're here now, so no need to cry over something that's already done.
So did you arrive in Australia knowing that you weren't going to make super feather?
It wasn't about not going to make it. It was always about it was tough. That's all.
So here's the problem. Here's the problem with this. It was always tough. Per Stephen Fulton's own words, it was always tough to make the weight at 126 pounds. Now they're fighting at 133. They might as well be fighting at 135. If that is the case, this fight might as well be a lightweight. At this point, Abdullah Mason, Stephen Fulton, Shock in a rematch. Tank, Schofield, Lomachenko. All of them are viable. I mean, if that's what we're doing from this weight situation, I think previously. Wait, hold on. Okay, so he was at 130. Okay, yeah. So he moved back down to 130. Not 8 pounds because at 126, 170, not 4. I'm sorry, I got the weight wrong. At 130, and now it's up to 133. But we were saying that at 130, when he fought Shock, he was already outweighed and outclassed and he didn't belong in this division. But now he's saying it's tough to make 130. And in that fight with O'Shaquie Foster, which I believe was at 130, he was in a situation where he looked out of shape. So I don't know exactly where his body's at, because every situation he looks like he's unprepared, or he looks like physically he ain't ready. Now, if that's something to me, I would assume that's something to you all. And this gives me some real concern as to what he's going to show up with against Liam Wilson, because Liam Wilson can fight. Liam Wilson is a real threat. He ain't got a bunch of power, but he sure enough can box. For real, he can. I don't have, or rather I'm losing faith in trusting in the ability of Stephen Fulton. I really am. I really am. I'm losing faith in the ability to trust in Stephen to be able to commit to being the fighter that we think he can be. Because in the last two outings, it's been very concerning. Brother, we know you can be better than this. And right now, I'm not seeing it in nearly the way that I need to be. And there's a lot of up and down going down when it comes to Stephen Fulton. In this fight with Liam Wilson, I may just pick what will be seen as an upset, and him losing to Liam Wilson. Yeah, I might just pick him to lose. I might just pick him to lose. And it's because Stephen Fulton, he's drawn too much uncertainty for me to have the amount of confidence necessary to make him be favored in my eyes. I can talk about the technical ability. I can talk about all that stuff. But if he's fighting at 126, or if he's fighting above 130, and he's saying he's struggling to make weight at 130, and this is supposed to be where he doesn't have to, this is supposed to be a weight he doesn't have to worry about making weight at, I don't understand. And I still think 130 is too big for him to be fighting at, because he can't be the fighter that he needs to be. Because we watched how he fought every box against Shock, he couldn't get close to him. And Liam Wilson, I'm not saying he's as good of a puncher, but that brother still is a long, tall brother who gave Navarrete trouble. Big time trouble. Do you really want to put yourself in that type of situation? And if so, you're already out of shape, or rather you're already physically not made to be here. I don't have a lot of faith. I have a lot of concern. I hope I'm wrong. I really do. But it behooves me to at least tell you all, there is some red flags that I cannot ignore that makes me say Stephen Fulton may be in a world of trouble going up against Wilson. He may be. He really may be. And so I don't think he beats him. If he does, great, phenomenal, feather in his cap. It still is above the weight, but a feather in the cap nonetheless. Where does he fight afterwards? That's the question. Because he's fighting at 133 because he can't make 130. Well, now you got to fight at 135. And do I ever think Stephen Fulton will be competitive at 135? Good gosh, no. Absolutely not. That brother will get ended at 135. If that's where he has to go, I bet we got to call a spade a spade. He'll get ended, done in, destroyed if he fights at 135. But it looks like that's where his body has to be. I'm telling you, man, there's a lot of signs. There's a lot of signs right now, and all of them are bad. Every last one. Right now, every last sign I'm seeing. Also, I had some notes. I'm trying to find them. Excuse me if I'm looking around. But every sign that I'm seeing is bad. It's not good. So, no, I don't think he can beat him. I do not think he can beat Liam Wilson. If he does, it would be a pleasant surprise. And I'm all for supporting Stephen Fulton. But I can't deny what my eyes and my gut feelings telling me. Something is going wrong. That on fight night, it might show up. If this man comes into this ring and is gasping for air like he was against Shock in the same way, he's not nearly as fit as he should be. There's a difference in being able to not make the weight and you being in shape and conditioned. He was neither of those. Again, one of the biggest fights in that point in time when he went up against Shakur Foster. That was the opportunity to get back to the top of the mountain, and this man looked out. He looked like he was, whatever he was supposed to be prepped for, it didn't look like it at all. Some people say that's discipline. Other people say that's just he just couldn't do it. Whatever the case may be, it's a problem that's too big to ignore. And against Liam, it can work out that he could be a problem again. So I'm concerned. I'm very concerned. I'm not gonna lie. I'm incredibly concerned how this fight can go. And I'm picking Wilson to win. And if I'm wrong, so be it. But I am very, very concerned about that fight. And speaking of, I think there was another fight that we got coming up, or rather another fight that is on the docket, and that is Anthony Joshua versus AJ versus Perenga. We already discussed that somewhat, but there's a discussion outside of that. Just the fight itself that I did want to delve into. Because we talked about, I think he can beat Perenga. I think he'll knock out Perenga, or at least outbox him at minimum. I think the Usyk style is going to work, and it's going to grow, and it's going to be able to be what it needs to mend the issues in his game. I do believe. But also, he's still vying for a title and championship. And because of that, there's been a big debate about the titles, the belts, and the validity of them meaning something or not in the boxing world. Anthony Joshua gave his 2 cents on it in regards to sanctioning fees, in regards to the legacy and lineage, and in regards to is it really worth the time for fighters anymore. There's a former unified champion saying this stuff, and I'm going to let him explain exactly how he feels, and it's going to lead into a very distinct conversation that does need to be had in the reference to the boxing world. And I'll play it right now for you all to be able to hear exactly what he had to say.
And now we have like people that like Terence Crawford, Shakur Stevenson that are complaining about sanctioning fees, and they're saying we don't need the belts anymore because of the other promotional company that's now emerged in America, which are trying to change the landscape. So people are now changing their tone because characters being dangled in front of them. But for me personally, I think the heritage, the history of the sport still stands strong in my heart. Like, you can't beat being a world champion, in my opinion.
Yeah.
You see Terence Shakur and others has talked against the belt. Anthony Joshua, as well as another prominent figure in the sport, Canelo Alvarez, has something to say, adding to this conversation about what the belts mean to the sport of boxing.
Them, Terence talked about the fees and things like that.
You need to pay.
Yeah.
Because they sanction the fight, they put the judges, they put the referee, they work. They make the bell. They have an office, and they need to make money.
So you've never had a problem with that?
Pay, no, I don't.
And one more clip about Canelo Alvarez talking about the meaning of the belts as a whole, and harping back on the legacy and tradition of being a world champion for the sanctioning bodies.
There's a big push now to try to get rid of the belts. You see this, right? But do you think it will always be a part of boxing?
Yes,
Yeah.
need to be.
Need to be.
Need to be part of boxing because those belts have a lot of history. I think need to be in boxing, those belts. It's a lot of history. For us, like I say, for me, if my boy, he turned a fighter, he wants to be a world champion, like his dad, right? Fighting for those belts, like his dad. So it's a lot of history behind those belts. So I think need to be in the system.
There's a big push now to try to get rid of the belts.
As you can see,
you see this, right? But do you think it will?
Two sides to the argument between between four of some of those prominent figures that we have in the sport right now. This is an important conversation because of what it can lead to, which is, will these belts stay around for the future? Joshua explains that the issue is because of Zuffa, and Canelo explains that legacy is why they need to stay, as well as what the fees mean. Let me give you my thoughts on this. Both of them are right in a respect, but wrong in one aspect, specifically Anthony Joshua. The belts, they do pay sanctioning fees. They do pay the judges and all that stuff. Again, more insight as to what those fees actually go to. Retired fighters, paying judges, referees, and all that stuff. Understandable. I get that. Absolutely. The legacy of the belts. IBF, WBA, WBC, WBO. All of which, every other one came because somebody else was dealing in corruption. Yes, that is true. But all of them hold a legacy that, yes, you can't deny. Specifically the WBC, that big green belt. Understandable. The heritage, the lineage, the idolization of I want to reach that pinnacle. It is something that is so ingrained in the sport, it's hard to take out or to ever be able to beat. Understandable. Even with the sanctioning bodies having the bad rap that they deserve, be clear, they deserve it. The lineage is still something that has a weight to it that you don't want to just expunge, and that is something you fight for. But the issue of who's to blame, that is where the issue falls, in my opinion. The issue is not about Shakur Stevenson or Terrence Crawford going in and trying to fight against the belt. They're fighting against the superiority of how the sanctioning bodies act in this day and age and landscape. Remember, the biggest issue about this whole situation was Terrence Crawford was getting asked to be paid higher fees by one belt commission than everybody else who said we're going to pay the same thing at the same time, and that's the rate. Shakur Stevenson got charged for a belt that was not even on the line because I believe it was WBC again. Felt they were inclined when he fought for a title above the weight class he was a champion in for a different title. They still get a cut because you're still champion at 140. Or excuse me, at 135. And you beat TL at 140. For his belt, you need to pay your fees to us again because now you're a champ representing us in two weight classes, even though your belt wasn't on the line against TL. The superiority of of sanctioning bodies thinking they can operate above the norm is the biggest thing that we were seeing Terrence Crawford and Shakur fight against, because that's just unfair. That's wrong. It's not the only thing, but it was the biggest thing that propelled this conversation. Well, if y'all gonna act like that, then the belts mean nothing. The ring belt is the only belt I need. It's free, and it's got the lineage to be the man who beat the man who beat the man who beat the man. My tie to the first ever champion is tied in this red, white, and blue belt, not yours. So I don't need you all, because now you're operating like you're above the real lineage, the real legacy. You think you can step over your boundaries against me as a fighter. That can't happen. That's where the issue is. It is not what Anthony Joshua said, or in part, it's not dominantly what Anthony Joshua said, that it is only Zuffa that is causing this type of rift and people saying we don't care about the sanctioning body. Be clear. This problem was before Zuffa. This problem will be after Zuffa if Zuffa is not able to stay around. And even if they do stay, the problem will still exist because the sanctioning bodies are indeed corrupt in ways that they don't need to be, but they are. But this was a problem not just because of one entity in Dana White trying to come through and shake things up. If that is the focus of why we think the problem is, then the issue itself will never get fixed. As to we need to fix the unity of these belts. If we are going to exist, everybody operates the same way, at minimum. Because this has been a long-standing issue. The legacy is never going to go away. But it's never been about the legacy that we're fighting. It's always been about the operating behind the legacy, the business behind the meaning. The belt itself has weight, but the people behind the belt are sullying the weight. Fight them. It's not Zuffa that's the biggest issue. It's them. Money-hungry people, Suleiman and others. It's them. And if we don't pinpoint that, we're going to be having blames coursed in the wrong. We're going to be having blame directed in the wrong way. And it's going to allow for Zuffa to be able to do what they want to do. And that's going to be bad for everybody in terms of making the lineage of what we see with the titles obsolete. Because now that you're fighting the wrong battle, hey, it's a lot easier to go expunge and make all these belts go away. And now with that going away, the legacy and heritage that Canelo talks about, that does go away. And we can still steal money in an even greater sense because now, like what Dana White has done in the past, we're not paying our boxers or fighters. It hasn't affected boxers yet because they're paying a big bag. Once that big bag goes away, will they still consistently pay people a rate that they deserve in the boxing world? Or will it go that they start doing the same practices in the UFC? That's what, in part, the Ali Act is trying to help make happen so that they can make those changes to be able to go and pay fighters in the way that we were seeing Don King steal money. That's why the Ali Act, in part, came into being. Because of what these Ali and others saw what Don King did to Mike Tyson and any fighter that was attached to him. Scum of the earth in perspective of a person taking advantage of the fighters whose lives are on the line. That's in part why, a big part of why that whole Ali Act came into fruition. If we're fighting the wrong fight against the wrong entity, the very thing that you're trying to keep can be lost in terms of the heritage and legacy. If we're going to have a problem with the bodies themselves, force them to act right or combine. Do something, but don't be going after putting the blame in the wrong way. Because if you do, it can lead to a bad snowball effect. It really can. It really can. Let me see. Bud Crawford. Let me see. I'm trying to read you all's chat so I can get everything going. Bud Crawford only had a problem with the WBC, and the WBC is a disgrace under Mauricio. Yep, absolutely. WBA is also a disgrace. Like I said, everybody's got problems. The most strict has been the IBF. The most problematic has been the WBC over the course of Canelo's reign, and even afterwards when it came to Terrence Crawford's reign right now. Not surprising, Canelo said that WBC let him do whatever he wants for years. And yeah, and they did. Without question, they did. We're not denying that. But we got to walk a tightrope when we're looking at how we need to change the way the championships are operated in the legacy perspective. Because once you expunge a lineage, you can't get it back. We're in a conundrum right now. That's the issue. We're in a conundrum in boxing. What we want is potentially privy to sacrificing what we desire. We want all boxing to be one place, one face, one belt, one man or woman that holds the gold, and that's it. At the same breath, if you do that, you can potentially take away the lineage of champions of the past. They're still champs. They still exist, but there's no connection to them anymore when any other champions come up outside of just history. WBC, I'm the champion. Also, this is the same belt Ali held. This is the same belt Sugar Ray Leonard, Marvin Hagler, Roberto Duran, all held together. This is the belt Mike Tyson held, Lennox Lewis held. I'm attached to their history. This is the belt Sugar Ray Robinson, I believe it was the belt Sugar Ray Robinson held at one point in time, or one of them. I can't remember which one. Regardless of which, this is that championship. The WBA title. I'm connected to James Toney. I'm connected to Roy Jones Jr. I'm connected to that through line of direct title to title. I can touch the history of the past. Because I did what you did. Not just champion, but the very belt that you held. If we take that away, you're still the champion, but that sever gets tied for anybody in the future. Hey, I was the champ, but there's no tie to you directly. That through lane of thread no longer gets woven in the same light. And again, every belt needs to have a new history, a new pantheon, a new gravitas when it comes to the weight of the title. But you got to start over. And it's tough. It is tough. Especially when you're losing. For some of these belts, it's been 80 to 100 years. It's been 80 to 100 years. Now Sugar Ray was already out. Okay, excuse me. I'm sorry. WBC started in 63. Thank you. I appreciate that. Thank you so much. Like I said, I'm trying to be as accurate as I can. Like I said, the history of the belts, all of them, is extensive. I do apologize if I mess up on some things. I'm not trying to act like I'm perfect. Be clear. I'm trying to give you the best lesson that I can follow. But it is a lot. Be sure, look this up for yourself. If everything, please be sure to look it up. Make sure you know what you need to know. Fact check me without a doubt. Because I'm still learning all this as well. But this is why y'all are here. To help me be better. I'll be honest. And I thank you for it. But yeah, WBA is the oldest title. And belts came along after that, again, because WBA got corrupt. Boom. Now, what was it? IBF came along. Hey, we can fix that. Then the IBF had a scandal. Now WBC. Oh, we can fix that. And then so on and so forth. And you saw how it went. Or WBO. One of the, not in any particular order. I'm just giving you the through lane, the reason why they were created. What happened that caused another belt to say we can do it better and we can do it right. And then they did it wrong. And then the cycle started over again. That's what I'm trying to explain in the gist of it all. But the biggest thing is, these belts, you don't want to take away that lineage. But you want to take away the confusion and corruption. How do you do that in boxing without sacrificing both? The only way for it to happen would need to be, and it will almost never happen, every belt gets tied into one. Not Zuffa, but together as a conglomerate, they all just join and make, this is one title that has every lineage attached to it. Because WBA, WBC, WBO, IBF, all of us are turning into one unit. And this is the belt. And all of our lineages and history is now connected to this title. That would be it. That will most likely never happen. Because then you got to say, what would it be called? Would it be the WBC that it'd be called? Or WBA, because it was the first one? Or whatever the case may be. Or all of them just disappear and the Ring Magazine belt becomes the only belt in existence. Because just about every champion still held that belt, and that's the biggest belt that has the most lineage amongst every title that isn't a named alphabet body. But that most likely will never happen. And so it's a slippery slope. There's no direct right or wrong answer. Because there's so many options to take it from. It's just hard. But it's a tight rope to follow. And it's a tight rope to try to maneuver. If we could do that, it would be so much better. But if we do it wrong, it will sacrifice the very thing that fighters and fans attach to this sport, which is history. And I'm not saying that'll hurt it in the long run. But whatever argument we say for why the belts don't mean as much anymore, It would get significantly more worse if all of a sudden the legacy is not even a factor in said argument. And that'll be a whole nother can of worms. It really can. So, but it's a tightrope to follow. It really is. Let me see. I am Zepeda by decision. Murataya by KO. Kelly by decision. Shiraz by KO. Andre by KO. And Paringa by KO. Good gosh. Great damn. Wait a minute. Kelly's going to knock out, Paringa's going to knock out AJ. Andre's going to win by KO in his return. Shiraz by knockout. Kelly by decision. Which, yeah, I agree with that. Murataya by KO. I think it's going to be by decision. Not KO, but I think he'll win. And then Zepeda by decision. If we're talking Zepeda against Lamont Roach, I think we will see Lamont Roach get that victory. And unless I'm thinking of a different fight with William Zepeda. Let me make sure I'm not, because if I am, oh Lord, I'm well and good behind. Let me make sure it is that fight with him and William Zepeda. Yeah, William Zepeda. Yeah, no, I got Zepeda losing to Lamont Roach. I do. I really do. I got him losing. We got some problems here. I have him losing. I think Lamont Roach is going to be able to do what he wasn't able to do against Tank or Isaac Cruz and get a definitive win. Because William Zepeda is so active but without the power, he can be able to box and be more successful inside that pocket without potentially having such a nip and tuck exchange between a puncher that can both box on the inside and crack me and put me on the ground with a left hand or right hook, like we saw with Isaac Cruz. And be able to not have the same shots like Tank that, that was a big shot that balances out a potential three-punch combination that you put together in the eyes of the judges. And now it's another tightly close affair. Again, I think Lamont Roach should have won both of them against Isaac Cruz and, the Isaac Cruz fight, I think it was worth, that was worth being a draw. I think the Tank fight, he should have won. But regardless of which, he just couldn't separate enough. I think he can separate enough from William Zepeda. I do. I think he can. Because William Zepeda is a very active puncher. And the power is not the thing that I'm saying, that's the end of the discussion because he can't punch, so we can't hurt him, so that's it. The volume can be tagged with better shot placement. We saw it with Shakur, who doesn't punch nearly as much. But with his ability to be precise, he was able to land better shots and inevitably start backing up William Zepeda. That's what he was able to do. That's what we watched it. He started to be able to meet him in the center. He met him in the center at first, fought off the ropes and was successful, and then started backing him up with some real effective shots. He did, without question. That is what we saw Shakur Stevenson do. And so because of that, I'm not saying Lamont Roach is Shakur Stevenson. Be clear. I'm not saying that. I'm saying that Lamont Roach, his offense in the pocket can be effective in a similar way that we saw with Shakur and have the capacity to go through and do some damage, do some work, do some real good quality effect to be able to I'm not going to say out damage, but to be able to outmatch the consistent work rate of William Zepeda. I do. So I think he'll win. I don't think he'll lose. Let me see. Roach is better than Farmer? Yes, he is. Yeah, he is. He's better than Farmer. He is better than Farmer. I have to say it. I cannot see Tevin Farmer doing what we saw Roach did against Tank or Isaac Cruz. And I love Tevin Farmer. I can't see him doing what he did to them. At one point in time, it was clear cut. Tevin Farmer was better than Lamont Roach. He's had some losses on his resume, but we don't look at the losses as the end all be all for a fighter. We don't. Lamont Roach as a boxer, Tevin Farmer as a boxer, we understand he is better than what his record shows as a fighter. That's why we were so excited when Schofield knocked him out so quick. Because Tevin Farmer is not easy for anybody to go and take on. Not a soul. Not a soul. And so because of that, we were elevated in the eyes of fans, or rather, we were elevated in our perception of what Schofield was able to do. Tevin Farmer now is on a downtrend. That is undeniable, but he's still good. And in the past, especially when he was going on a tear, yeah, I would have said he's better. But now, yeah, he's better than Lamont. He's not better than Lamont Welch. Not at this stage. Not right now. And I don't think he could have done what we saw Lamont do to Tank or Isaac Cruz if he fought against him. It wouldn't have been a draw. It would have been an outright loss or a knockout in one or two of those fights. I'm confident in that, and that's me loving Tevin Farmer. Lamont Roach is the better fighter. He went from being a predominantly unknown champion at 130 pounds who was seen as a cherry pick for the likes of Tank Davis. I even said he was a cherry pick because he was at that point in time, into, brother, this man is actually a very good fighter who has been doing some good work. And now with this performance, we recognize, okay, we underestimated him, and Tank was not a fluke with how good he actually is as a boxer. It ain't. Right now, he is still him versus O'Shaquie Foster at 130 or 135. I would not be mad at seeing it in the slightest. Him versus Emmanuel Navarrete at 130 or 135. I would not be mad at it. Him versus anybody right now at 135 pounds is seen as a viable threat to potentially take a title. Am I wrong? I don't think so. Because that's how good Lamont Roach is at this point in time. At this point in time. So yeah, he's better than Tevin Farmer. And he should be able to beat William Zepeda. Though William Zepeda is a good fighter. And William Zepeda's activity is going to be the biggest thing. But if it's in war and stamina, I have not seen Lamont Roach tired. I've just seen him, again, knocked down. I haven't seen him tired. And I've seen him be able to throw out combinations that he's able to do work, get out, reset, and do it again, as well as stick in the pocket. He's a more multidimensional fighter than William Zepeda. William Zepeda's one trick is a really good trick. But we have seen people be able to get around it. Lamont Roach, he's been able to get where he's at right now because he's more multidimensional. He's got more elements as to where he can go to. He can box with his jab, or he can box with combinations and still be on moving ground to be able to get out of the way and exit. He can fight in the pocket if he needs to go and get some real grit in his game and put some salt in the fight. Spice it up and get some real damage going against his opposition by meeting them head on. He can do that. Backwards and forwards, he can be able to fight. Stationary, he can fight. He can be a counterpuncher. He can be a good distance keeper. Not great, but good. When he wants to go and fight at a certain range. He's calm and composed. He can go downstairs to the body. He can make his own openings with his punch selection. He can set shots up for a bigger shot and disguise them. He's got some good things. He's got patience. He's got a lot of different elements to his game that we were not known for. Or rather, we did not know about with him when it came to him fighting before Tank. After Tank, we've seen it now twice. This brother is a really well-developed fighter. More developed in all totality than William Zepeda. William Zepeda is a specialist. That ain't bad at all. He's a specialist with some good boxing, absolutely, but he's a specialist pressure fighter. A swarmer is what we call him. Not a brawler, swarmer. In your chest, in your face, you will never have a moment's rest. That type of guy. Track you down, not fighting backwards. He's going to fight forward. And he's going to throw 1,000 punches to fight. Can you keep up? Can you deal with the pedal to the metal that we can bring to the table? Can you stop my aggression with your precision or match my aggression with your aggression? And if you can't, we going to have a problem. We going to have an issue. We going to have a dilemma, and you going to be in a world of pain, world of hurt, world of trouble, and a world of fatigue if you ain't careful. That's why I think Lamont Welch can beat him. Because he can overcome those obstacles and be able to still be calm and not drained by the time the last half of the fight comes about. And he's even shown that when it comes to digging deep and it's time to close the show, not knocking you out, but doing work to win rounds in the end, he can do that. He can do that. And against the likes of Williams and Page, he's going to have to do that. But he can do that, regardless of which we may feel. He can, because he's shown it. And so I think he's going to be, I think he'll beat him. I do believe he'll beat him. And if he, and man, it's going to be so exciting. That's going to be an insanely good fight. That's going to be an insanely good fight. I guarantee you. I guarantee you. And it's going to be fun. Let me see. I'm not convinced. Hey, brother. Hey, look, I get it. I get it. I'm not trying to sway your perception. Be clear. I'm not trying to sway how exactly you may feel about what we got going down. That's going to be what it's going to be. That's going to be what it's going to be. I can't change how you feel. I'm just giving you my thoughts on the matter. I'm just telling you what I see. And I'm telling you, if Lamont Welch does win this fight, if I'm not mistaken, this is for a title, correct? If I'm not mistaken, this is for a belt at the division. Let me look this up real quick. And like I said, we are still in the championship rounds. Be clear, so you all know. We're still in the championship rounds. We still want to hear your thoughts and opinions on everything involving the world of boxing and beyond. More reaction to the thoughts of of LeBron James going to Philadelphia, Shakur Stevenson. We want to talk about him fighting in this next stage in Zuffa boxing. Keyshawn Davis and Devin Haney. Can Keyshawn hurt? Oh yeah, we got to talk about it. I forgot. We got to talk about it. Can Keyshawn Davis get knocked out by Devin Haney because of Devin Haney's elevated power at 147? Could this be a real possibility? All of that and more we can discuss with you all on our show still today. We still want to hear from you in all facets of the boxing world and the sports landscape as a host. So keep on putting your thoughts in the chat, your comments in the chat, and keep on supporting the show. And shameless plug, if you want to help us support even more, leave a like on the video. Come on, like the stream. Keep on telling people about what we got going on. Share the show with everybody that you know. And if you want to support the channel, we still got Cash App and PayPal. Links down below in the description, as well as super chats and super gifts, jewels and stickers, all of which you can help support our show and help us to grow immensely, to help me to pay some bills, wink, wink, and helps us to go through and edify this show and make it better for your viewing and listening pleasure. But let me look up this Lamont Welch fight with Williams Zepeda before I continue, because that fight is significant enough that I believe it is a world title fight. Let me try to find the date of when that fight is. I don't know why I can't find it. Hold on. Okay, yeah, it's for the WBC lightweight. So it's for one of the belts at 135. He would be one of the champions with Abdullah Mason. He would be one of the champions with the big kahunas, including Tank, at the division. Raymond Murataya. In fact, they're both fighting on the same card. Shoot. I just realized it. They're both fighting on the same card. Oh, I just realized. Y'all don't got to pay a thing. Oh, shoot. Y'all don't got to pay a thing. This fight's going to be on TNT. Oh, buddy. Oh, this is perfect. This is beautiful. This is astounding. Yes. It's going to be on TNT. Remember when TNT had a package with the Zone where they're going to be showing fights on straight cable television without a need to pay an extra fee unless you're again outside of whatever streaming and or cable service that you have. Both of these fights are gonna be on TNT. Straight up. And you can watch them, Lamont Roach versus William Zepeda and Murataya versus Robinson Conceição for both lightweight championships, the WBC and the IBF. This is incredible. This is phenomenal. This is beautiful. This is beautiful. Absolutely beautiful. Stunning. Immaculate. This is what we need to have happen. Great day in the morning. I love it, man. I love it. I completely forgot about that deal. This is perfect. Also, Frankie Z, what's going on with you? How are you doing? We appreciate you on the show. We thank you so much for tuning in and for the 200 jewels to the chat with us today. Thank you so much for your support to the channel and your support to the stream. Welcome back, and we appreciate the love and the homes to the Empire. Without a doubt, it means the world to us. But this is beautiful, man, and we've been reacting to everything regarding the world of boxing and beyond, and we're still in the championship rounds, covering every aspect of the sports world with your thoughts and opinions. But we just found out, or we just realized, Murataya and Lamont Roach are going to be fighting on TNT for your free viewing pleasure. If you have a cable or streaming package involving TNT, you can see it without a doubt. You can go to your local bar. Most likely, tell them to turn on TNT, or a local restaurant. Tell them to go turn on TNT, and you got yourself a fight. Boom, we're ready. We're set. This is perfect. This is absolutely perfect. Let me keep on reading you all's chats, and we want to make sure we keep everybody going. Raito Tatsumi has some real potential. He really does. Keyshawn Davis versus Dev is going to be close, fam. A lot of people are saying that. A lot of people are saying that fight is going to be a close affair. And I still believe it. I just distinctly feel Devin Haney is going to win. I really do. Now if Dev KOs Keyshawn, that's a whole nother can of worms. And I bring this up because we've had people, and again, this is going back to the interview with Shakur, not Shakur, the interview with Terrence Crawford in regards to this whole aspect of conversation. He had his own 2 cents involving how he felt about this fight between Terrence Crawford, not Terrence Crawford. He had his own 2 cents on his thoughts between Devin Haney and Keyshawn, how that fight might play out. And he essentially, crazy enough, he was sitting on the fence. He was sitting on the fence. It wasn't nearly as gung-ho with saying one or the other was going to outright win. Now, granted, he had some inclinations because he rocks with Keyshawn Davis. He rocks with him as a fighter and training him, or rather being a mentor to him, as well as Shakur Stevenson. So I understand it from that perspective. But genuinely, there's been a lot of people that have been very tentative to say, oh, that fight's going to go one way or the other. I'm not. I'm completely of the volition. We're going to see him be able to go through and beat Keyshawn Davis. But if we see him knock him out, that would breed a whole nother can of worms to the conversation of this boxing game. More particularly, that would make everybody view Devin Haney as something beyond just being a force to be reckoned with. That would have, people would be saying, let's call a spade a spade. It would draw up that fight for Ryan Garcia even more. And people would be calling for Boots Ennis. They would. They would. That's what's also at stake with this. Let me see. Devin might be too big for Key right now. We'll find out how Keyshawn Davis fills out at 147 because he's still growing, and at this division, he'll be completely unlocked with his physical ability to be like Bobby Lashley, the Almighty, where he's stretched out and he's just built to the gills. That's what we could see take place. It still may not be enough, though, because of the disproportionate size in stature and muscle that we've seen Devin Haney have whenever he steps into the ring. He might be weighing 158 right now, but we know when that bell rings, he's a completely different animal. And if he does knock out Keyshawn Davis, if we see Devin Haney knock out Keyshawn Davis, it will make that Ryan Garcia fight once again a 50-50 affair. I wouldn't be surprised if people start favoring Devin Haney if he goes and knocks out Keyshawn in that fight with Ryan Garcia. More importantly, people going to be saying, we want to see Devin Haney versus Boots right now. Without question, move out to 147. Because there is going to be a reality where people will say, if you beat and knock out Keyshawn Davis, you are definitively the best in this division. And you can fight Ryan Garcia later, but you're growing. And we want to see you, as you've been taking on big-time challenges, go and fight against the likes of Devin Haney. Go and fight against the likes of Boots. We really do. Everybody would want to see that. And it would be such an entertaining fight to have happen. And it would also lead into the fact that there seems to be some unfinished business in regards to Devin Haney and Boots Ennis. Because if we remember, Devin Haney was talking about the fight with Boots and was open to fight. Because if we remember correctly, Boots and Devin were in position. They could have scrapped against each other. They could have. They could have gone and had something happen against each other. They could have happened and they had a fight at 147. Let's do remember those negotiations. It was a while ago. It was during that whole situation where Ryan Garcia, Devin Haney, and that whole card was potentially going to go and take place. It was during that. But there was a world where Devin Haney and Boots were going to scrap against each other. But because of Boots, because of Boots saying, I'm going to go and move up to 154, after the money that came through, after the amount of money, I think it was, $11 million? I think to potentially have a fight with them was going down. After that, it would happen. And in fact, I think, is this the clip that Terrence Crawford talks about? I think this is the one. Is this the clip where Terrence Crawford was talking about Boots Ennis and discussing that very scenario with Boots as a fighter? Was it this one? I'm not sure. I'm gonna play it and I'm gonna risk it. If it isn't the clip,
wanted you to fight. It was Ennis.
If it's not the clip, I apologize. If it is the clip, we're all well and good and we're where we need to be.
For him to get a fight with the greatest fighter of all time, But
at the time, hold on. You know what? While I'm getting ready,
he was leaving 147.
While I'm getting this prepared, I'm gonna go and just keep on talking and moving. But there's a world where that would be the going notion, and that would be a highly anticipated affair. Because if Boots and Devin was a possibility, it would be strictly because he not just would beat Keyshawn and be a dominant fighter, but now the boxing ability of Devin Haney and the movement of Devin Haney that we've always said gives Boots in its trouble, with the Shakur fight being the biggest example, would then also bleed into you might be able to hold your own and do something to get Boots' respect, on top of being able to box and move around. And now that adds intrigue to the fight and investment into the fight, and having people saying, hey, we might want to see what you can do. And again, I think this is the clip. I hope this is the clip anyway, of him talking about the fight with Boots Ennis and Terrence Crawford. If not, though, I will apologize. But let me play the clip right now and see if this is the right one. And if so, we can react to it. If not, we'll piggyback however we need to.
A fight against Ortiz or
Fedor. There's no audio? There's no audio? What? Hold on, wait a minute.
A fight against Ortiz.
Is there no audio?
Ortiz or Fedor. The other.
What's going on?
Two big guys.
Oh, wait. I know the problem.
Now this is taking you out the.
I'm muted. That's the. Like I said, I'm one man band, y'all. I'm trying to make sure we got everything covered. I was muted. My apologies. I think he says it in this clip. And if he doesn't, I'm going to play the other clip, and I think that's the one. If none of them, you can go find it for yourself, but he does say it in this interview with Ak and Barack. But I was muted. Now I'm unmuted. Now we can play it fully to let you hear what he had to say in regards to Boots talking about that fight between regards to Terrence Crawford, talking about the fight between potentially Devin Haney and Boots Ennis that was supposed to happen, but didn't. And I believe it was in this clip with Virgil Ortiz that he was discussing. And I'll let it play right now for y'all to witness and see exactly what we are talking about.
A fight against Ortiz or Fundora, the other two big guys at 154. Now, this is taking you out the mix, bro. You're done with this sport. For me, I'm never comparing you or connecting with him, but as a boxing analyst and a former fighter, who would you say is the harder fight for Boots? Is it Fundora or Virgil Ortiz?
They both tough.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. They both tough. But for me, I say Virgil.
Really?
I say Virgil.
Wow, even though Fundora was 6'6" and has a long distance.
Because Fundora leave the door open to get caught.
Right.
You know, but Fundora, you know, he's getting better.
Yeah.
He's definitely getting better. But Virgil, you know, he gonna be in your face. He gonna have his hands up. He gonna be jabbing you, you know, with a stiff jab and going to your body. And with Fundora, he want to get inside.
Yeah.
He tall, but he don't want to. He don't
like
want
to bang too.
He don't want to fight you on the outside. He
want to be in there.
He gonna bing, 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 and then when you get in inside, it's boom, 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 boom. You know what I mean?
I will say this though. I was at the fight against Thurman. I think he's learning how to use his size a little bit better. Like he kept Thurman out and touching him from far, but he does like the bang. It's gonna be an interesting fight.
It's in his blood.
Yeah,
like he want to
100%.
fight.
Okay, so that was the wrong clip, but still, useful information regardless. And I can still lead into this conversation with Devin Haney, but also straight up with Boots himself. We can pivot. Like I said, we are all about being able to be adaptable. That was the wrong clip, but still, the point still applies. Since we're talking about Boots, we can use it and discuss it. Boots it is with the likes of Devin Haney, Virgil, and Fundora as names on the table. Devin Haney's a possibility. If he KO'd Keyshawn Davis, he could potentially fight against Boots. And fans will start calling for that fight to happen against Boots. I guarantee you. Now, with Boots in his own world at 154, Virgil Ortiz and Fundora talking about who will be the harder fight. I've said this before, and I agree with Terrence Crawford. It is Boots versus Virgil that is the hardest fight. Fundora is the fighter that always wants to fight on the inside. He uses his length better, but his goading is to make you want to try to get inside. The whole point of his range is like a Venus flytrap. The whole point is a trap of him trying to go and make you think the best way to be here is to be safe is on the inside. The sweet nectar of getting a win against Fundora is to go, for most people, and close off that range. But that's a trap because he wants to go and bang out with you and make it so that if you get reckless, I can get reckless too and be better at it. Now you're in the real danger where you're close in tandem with me. Virgil is the better complete fighter. And inside or outside, he can operate better in aspects that Fundora just can't, even with the added level of length. Now, Boots getting around that length is still going to be an issue. Boots fighting on the inside against Fundora will still be a problem, but it's a lot more manageable because of what we said, like what Terrence Crawford said. You leave the door open. You have opportunities where both Fundora's hands are down when he's throwing combinations. He's setting up a string of uppercuts and hooks, but at the same breath, he's not moving his head off the line because normally he's too tall for people to reach. But Boots, that's not going to be a problem. And it's going to be if he gets too aggressive in his own wheelhouse, all of a sudden, with the fast hands of Boots Ennis, Ba 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 ba. Boom. Next thing you know, da 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 ba. Da da ba. And now uppercut hook combination, straight up hook combination off of you getting overzealous with your punches. You're vulnerable. Ortiz is a lot more responsible when he gets aggressive and is able to still box and is more than happy to box in a range that he doesn't want to be at. Doesn't want to fight on the outside, but he's more willing to do it. And he's more versatily tooled to do it. Fundora is learning how to fight on the outside a whole lot better, but he's learning how to fight on the outside. We've seen Virgil Ortiz box with Madrimov on the outside for nearly 6 rounds before ultimately wearing him down and then being able to now work in closer range. He's more poised, more skilled, more efficient with where he works in multiple different states in the fight. Fundora is incredibly destructive, but he's, again, a specialist. It's not bad, but it is the reality. You get around that, you got a problem. Or you get around that, he has a problem, excuse me. Ortiz is the better fight to make. Ortiz is the harder fight to make. Ortiz is going to be the fight that for most people get the answer that we've been looking for. How good are you? You need them both, Fundora and Ortiz. But Ortiz, as the well-rounded fighter, is the better one. In my opinion, the easiest one to have happen. Let me see, 100% Virgil Ortiz. I agree. Boots would smoke Virgil perfectly fine. And if he does, it's even more impressive. Virgil easiest, Sebastian second. Kelly's the trickiest. Boots beats them all, though. The only reason why I would say Josh Kelly is the trickiest is because Josh Kelly fights completely adjacent to what Boots wants. We still, even in this fight with Xander Zayas, Zayas was right in front of him. We cannot overlook the fact, we cannot overlook the fact that every time we've seen Virgil fight, except for 2 instances, it has been against fighters that have been directly in front of him. Zayas could not get out of the way and fought in the pocket with Boots nearly the entire fight. He tried to box with him, and he couldn't, because he couldn't get away from him. And so he fought head to head with him. The only fighter that's been able to move with a level of fluidity, consistency, and trickiness has been Shakur. That was effective. That was it. Everybody else with that level of movement has not existed yet in Boots' career, at least when I've been watching. That is still the biggest X factor. That's why I say Madrimov is still a huge threat to beat Boots, even now is being seen as the best talent in the sport in 154. At 154. And Kelly, though that is the quote-unquote easiest champion that you can fight at this stage right now, that is not the easiest fighter in the slightest because of his feet. He looked great against Bakram, even though he had to, really stiff it out when those last couple rounds when he got caught and almost got knocked out. But on the whole, turning Bakram around, making him not be slow feet, everybody was like, oh, yeah, he's too good of a mover. You can't do nothing with him. Cool. This is still going to be interesting because now Boots can track you down, but he doesn't like somebody that can move with the exit options that we see Kelly be able to have. And the speed of his jab and just straight up being able to be a complete ring user. That's something that he just doesn't like. And he's had by his standards, lackluster level performances that show you are being hindered in some way because of what somebody's doing. Specifically because of that aspect of boxing where you are not able to just walk him down and put him out. It's a different game. It's a different game. If you fight Josh Kelly, because it's a different fight mentality than everybody else up here at 154. Or that you faced off outside of Shakur. So it's going to be tough. It is going to be tough. It's going to be incredibly tough. I still got stubble on my mustache. Good gosh. This thing is itching like crazy. Dang it. Once it grows through, though, I'm gonna look like Billy D. Williams. But my goodness, it is. Oh gosh, it's so irritating. It's so irritating. Great day in the morning. Let me see. Kelly is an outboxer, but he can't really bang. He should not bang going against Ortiz. Excuse me. He should not bang to fight against Boots. If he has to bang it out with Boots in a fight on the inside, that means that his feet have failed him. That's what that means. That's what that means. That's what it means. If he has to bang it out with Boots, his feet has failed him. If he has to stay in the pocket with Boots in his primary weapon, which is his feet and his outbox, have failed. And plan B is not the plan that you want to go to, but it's going to be the plan that you may not have left. And you don't want that. And you're right. He banged against Murtazali. He fought Murtazali. He did. The knockdown was off of a counter when Murtazali was off balance. But when he had to dig down and go for it, he did go for it against Bakram. Bakram Murtazali. I'm never disputing that. I'm disputing that's not what he wanted to do. There is a difference in the capacity and what you want to have happen. If I need to go there, I want to go there. But Kelly did not want to have to go and fight Bakram. Like, bite down and go for it, even though we can. And because he did that, Bakram was able to still put that brother in a near dangerous situation. And what do you do afterwards? Went away. All right, I got to make sure I was in the fire too long. Now I got to go back to trying to make sure I'm safe and use my feet again. Do what was winning me the fight. Boots Ennis is not Bakram. The capacity to do the thing versus the success rate in that thing are not the same. When we're talking about Boots Ennis. If Josh Kelly fought like he fought against Bakram, against Boots, it would be valiant. But it's going to be a struggle. Because Boots is a better totality of walk-down fighter than Bakram. With better angles, better footwork, better speed. Power-wise, we saw him knock down Zayas 3 times, and his power can carry up here. Without question, one of the strongest fighters up here. And he can constrict your airways when it comes to trying to box and fight and be able to utilize all that stuff to keep you safe. That's what can happen. And if Kelly has to bite down and really go for it against Boots Ennis, it's going to be a code red because that is not what he wants to do. We were saying that Zayas can do that because he's bigger, he can be a puncher, and he can go and hurt him. I'm not saying that can't happen against Josh Kelly. I just know that's not the biggest portion of his game, unlike with Xander Zayas. That Xander Zayas, that was leaning into the aspects that we've seen Zayas want to have accentuated in his boxing ability. Josh Kelly, that's not one of them. He can do it without question, but that's not what he wants. That's not what he wants to lean into. That's, hey, if I got to, I can go to it, but that's not what I want to go to. And if I got to go to that, that means that something else has failed. Specifically in this fight. Can I tell you, if Josh Kelly tries to go and bang out with Boots Ennis, he's going to get knocked out. He is going to get knocked out. I am 100% sure if he tries to bang with Boots, he will get knocked out if he does think he can do what he did against Bakram. And the success that he had banging with a heavy-handed puncher. It ain't going to be the same. I am completely assured it will not be the same person. Wouldn't be the same at all. Let me see. Majimov would be a very interesting matchup for Boots. It would. He absolutely would. Specifically this iteration. Because this iteration of Majimov has become a more grounded level fighter. He still wouldn't want to be grounded against Boots. Still want to be able to move and get out the way. But early in the 10 knockouts that he got to get to a point that he was the champion, 11 wins, 10 KOs, and was reigning as the titleist with an extensive amateur background before fighting Terrence Crawford. He was putting people to sleep. Moving, jabbing, and then would land big overhands or big hooks that would daze the opponent, and then we were going for the kill. And he was a physical built tank that could also bounce and move. He's now leaned into that already established physicality of his game, doing a little bit of what Erzani Lara did. He's still hopping around, but he'll plant his feet a whole lot more now. He'll set up some bigger shots now while still being elusive, stationary. And then if he needs to bounce, he can go back to what he already knew. But he's got the capacity to go into an already established game plan or already established aspect of his ability. That's not what I'm saying Kelly has. Kelly has the capacity to do it, but that's not the second biggest thing that we know Kelly wants to access with, because that's not what his game was predicated on. Me watching him fight. That's a resort that if I can get to it, I'll go to it. But if I don't need to get to it, that's not what I'm accentuating. That's not what I'm relying on as a secondary weapon. That's just something that if it's in my bag, I'll go for it. Because it is there. But it's not a primary tool. You don't need nothing but primary tools going up against Boots. Or it can get very disgusting. It really can't. It really can't. I agree, but that's what Kelly does. And like I understand. And Kelly's whole style is based on being fast and deploying lateral traps. You're right. He should be a better mover around the ring than what we saw with Zayas. The lateral movement that you talked about, the lateral movement, left and right, that you talked about with Zayas should actually show up in this fight with Boots. If we get that fight with Boots in us. If we do. And I hope we do. I hope we see it. Because I want to see Boots tested. I don't want to see him tested in a way that it's a knockdown, drag out brawl. Or you got to sit in the pocket with a fast puncher against Boots Ennis. I know most likely how that's going to go. That's not the test I'm looking for. I'm looking for Boots. How do you go and track the fly in your room? The gnat that's on the wall? How do you go and catch the mosquito that is buzzing left, right, and everywhere? How do you cage a dragonfly that can go as quickly forwards and backwards as he can left to right? Omnidirectional speed. How do you stop that when that's been your biggest Achilles heel when it comes to you as a fighter? It's not a detraction, it's just a trait that we've seen in your career thus far. You fix that, you stop that. All of a sudden, everything's all new, all different, all exciting. That's what Kelly is as a fight. That's the barometer of newfound information that we can find out with Boots Ennis, with that fight with Josh Kelly, without a doubt. But my whole point is, if he does stop that aspect of Kelly's game, Kelly will have to go to a game that he can access, but he is demonstratively ill-equipped to be able to completely balance out this new phase of the fight. Kelly can't go through and fight Boots just because he has the ability to fight in the pocket. It's not good enough. Jerry Quarry, perfect example. Jerry Quarry could go to war. And the Golden Age of heavyweights with Ali, Foreman, Frazier, Ken Norton, all of them, Ron Lyle, and that's just 6. Not even to mention Jerry Quarry himself. The other brother from Texas. You had just an abundance of skill at heavyweight during the era of Ali, Foreman, Frazier, and Norton in abundance. Jimmy Young and all of them. Jerry Quarry was able to bite down and was one of the most entertaining fighters of that time as well, especially in his wars with Joe Frazier. Without question. Without a doubt. However, he could get that skill, not access that skill. But against Joe Frazier, he could not beat Joe Frazier. No matter how many, I think they fought like 2 or 3 times. No matter, and every fight was incredible. No matter how many times he fought Joe Frazier, he could not beat him. And this man was giving it his all. I'm talking about we were seeing him do some good work against Joe, against the ropes, even having Joe on the ropes. But he wasn't good enough of an inside fighter. And that was his primary game. I mean, the entirety of both fights was literally, they were separated by a quarter. And not even the circumference, we're talking the width. You turn a quarter sideways and you put your head against the wall. That's how close they were to each other the entirety of their fight. And there was not, and as much as Jerry Quarry went to do everything he could not outwork and outfight on the inside Joe Frazier. He couldn't. And if he backed up, he was being a worse state because he would get caught with that left hook every time. And that distance would get closed again. That's what I'm saying can happen with Boots and Kelly. You, in that aspect of the game, you may not be able to compete. You may not be able to compete. And you just might not be good enough. Even if you've done good work against other fighters in that interior domain before. Man, this is a different breed of person now. It's a different elevated level of boxer here. Where what you can access, it is there. But it's not up to the par. And Jerry Quarry was a way better inside fighter than Josh Kelly. That's why I'm saying he doesn't need to fight on the inside for me if I want to see him have the best level of success. Because if he does, I promise you, you're gonna hear me saying red flag. If we do live stream that fight, Lord willing, we get to do something for that fight. If we do see that fight take place and we get to do a live stream or do some event with it, you're gonna hear me saying code red. If we see Josh Kelly have to go and bite down, that's gonna be, I'm talking pandemonium, danger, 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 danger. You're gonna be here, I'm gonna be saying it all day. If we see that turn into a reality on the fight, because it can get really bad for Josh Kelly if that's what he has to resort to, because that's the secondary option. And it can be dangerous. It can really be dangerous. But even still, we're at the 2 hour, 30-minute mark. We want to hear your thoughts and opinions on everything involving the world of boxing and beyond. I still want to make sure I can get this clip of Boots Ennis, or Terrence Crawford talking about Boots Ennis. I know it's here because it was something that it was something substantial. Like he had said something substantial about that whole situation with Devin Haney and Boots. Here it is. I knew it. I knew I was gonna find it. I'm not trying to be all over the place. I knew I was gonna find that clip. This is the clip I was trying to find when it came to Terrence Crawford talking about Boots Ennis and discussing that whole situation of Boots and Devin Haney were going to fight each other. But what happened shows you just how good Devin Haney is, at least in the eyes of Terrence Crawford. And I'll play the clip right now so you all can see exactly what he had to say. We're going to bump, just for the sake of making sure this thing goes smoothly, we're going to bump that down a little bit. But here we go.
And they willing to fight everybody.
Nope. I'm muted. Hold on. There we go.
And they willing to fight everybody. Devin fighting everybody.
Yeah. Everyone.
Devin like, give me Lomachenko, give me him, give me him, give me him. Or I wanna fight him. You say he the best, I wanna fight him.
Yes.
You know, you Boots, I wanna fight Boots too. You know,
Yeah, he did
like,
talk about fighting
you
Boots.
know,
Yeah, he's willing.
and granted, Boots wanted to become undisputed at 147, right? But when Devin tried to fight him at 147, he said, "No, I'm moving up to 154." You know what I mean? Like, so
he's a dangerous fight for anybody.
He's a dangerous fight for anybody. And they.
That's Terrence Crawford talking about that whole situation. I knew I wasn't crazy. I knew I was remembering correctly. This is just a validation. That happened. That did in fact happen. And Devin Haney was the champion at that point in time. And if I remember, there was something along the lines of $11 million or so that would have been the biggest payday in Boots' career at that stage, while he was at 147, with a chance to accomplish his goal of becoming undisputed. When he was weighing whether or not he needed to go up or down, it could have happened. Again, he chose to move up. But that was on the table. And this is Boots, mind you. The same Boots I was saying that if he fought Devin Haney at 154, Devin Haney would go to sleep. I still believe that to this day. But I also understand there's a respect for Devin Haney that we cannot deny anymore. If this is in fact insinuating the type of noise that we're discussing, Devin Haney, even if you feel that he's going to get beat, he's a problem. He's a problem. And we can say his conservative fighting ain't up to par in terms of I don't like it. Absolutely. Doesn't change the fact that this man knows how to survive. And if he does have a lead, taking it from him is one of the hardest things in this sport because he just doesn't let you grow any momentum at any point in time. I wish that fight had happened earlier. I really do. And I hope it happens sooner. That's why I want to see Devin Haney beat Keyshawn, because I want to see that fight be on the table again, and then we have Devin Haney move up to 154, fight Boots Ennis, and we finally get that answer. Because if Devin Haney beats Boots, good gosh, that's going to elevate him to probably top 5, top 6. If Boots beats Devin Haney, with what we're already saying about him now, and the two fights that he's had in the last couple outings are Lima, Zayas, and a prime Devin Haney. It's going to be hard pressed for people to say this, brother, you're going to hear a bunch of reckless noise. This man's the best fighter in the world. Bring on Shakur. Bring on Canelo. Bring on Ortiz. Bring on everybody if he does that. And it can be insanely interesting. Let me see. What you got on Kelly versus let me see. What you got on Kelly versus I keep getting. I think it's Ag. What's it? Is it Ag Crow? If I'm saying the name wrong, I do apologize. What I have on the fight, and mind you, I haven't gotten to focus on that fight more than with all the other stuff. Everybody coming back around the same week in time. But I will say that I do think Kelly's going to win by unanimous decision. If he wants to make a statement to go and help propel this thing of he can scrap, it would behoove him to show and prove me wrong that his ability in that mid-range, close-range area is more destructive than I'm giving it credit for. Do some real damage if he can. Because this is a fight that he can win. And I think he can win comfortably. If he does get a knockout here, it would help to further the story of Kelly versus Boots. It's a bigger threat level than people may expect, with 2 wins, 1 an upset, and knocking down the boogeyman of this division in Bakram, and then knocking out Ag Crow. All of a sudden, hey, fight that over here in America, you got some people saying we might have something to believe in for what this fight could be. And there may be a bigger test. I want to see him get a KO. Though I think it'll be a straight up unanimous decision. Similar to Ryan Graves. He thinks it's a unanimous, I do too. But if he can get a knockout, it would immensely help the respect and the perception of the future. Because this fight should be a fight that he can win relatively comfortably. I do believe. But a knockout would push this well and good, especially for the fight he's trying to get. Because apparently he's trying to say, we'll talk about Boots after this. Because he's trying to essentially insinuate, I'm gonna make a statement that sends Boots a shot. You come at me, you best not miss. We'll see if it works out, but I do think it's going to be him by decision, or by decision primarily. But if he can get a KO instead of just a knockdown, that'll help him out immensely. Let me see. Fundor is hard for Boots, but Boots still beats him up. Kelly gets KO'd against Boots. Virgil has the hardest fight for Boots. Healthy Majimov is hard for Boots. Marchesali gets KO'd. And yeah, I just about agree. I agree. Just about. Fundor, Ortiz are the hardest fights there. I think Ortiz will be harder, but still, they're both on that level of playing field. Virgil, as I continue to say, is the X factor. Josh Kelly popped on the scene and got everybody saying, okay, this might be something similar to Majimov, but maybe with even faster speed, maybe, but not as much power. But still fights in a way that has Boots with his outside style might struggle. This is why I keep on saying there's no killers here. Or there is no lack of killers on Murderer's Row. If he goes through this list of names, it would be reckless and ridiculous in all the right ways. Which is why we want to see all this noise take place and we want to see stuff shake up. Let me see. Haney is going to be hard for Boots, but he's going to get beat up. Again, I really do think that's the case. I really do. I really do think that's the case. That's why I want to see the fight. Because if we see Devin Haney shock us all, my gosh, ridiculous if we saw that happen. But if we see Boots beat up Devin Haney, even if you want to say, well, Boots was a bigger fighter, that don't change what that impact would do for his career. It would be phenomenal. It would. Let me see. Low-key, I thought B. Norman fought to a draw. Devin really throttled down after the knockdown. He did. But the reason why it wasn't a draw in the judge's eyes, to take a turn, hey, Alex, I'm going to take a turn from you. Okay, watching the World Cup, I learned some things in soccer, or football, as it's properly called. I learned some things. Like they do in soccer. Once you get a lead, and you're trying to make sure you just stall out, you park the bus. That's what Devin Haney did. Against punchers, and against anybody with a real threat. When you get up after a certain amount, you park the bus. You just sit down. Ain't no need in trying to go and push the issue. You're going to go and throttle down. You're going to downshift immensely. You're going to be in gear one. And you're just going to coast into, you might go into neutral. And just straight up, you're going to be still. Just go to the end of the fight and just simply last up until the final bell. Because right now, I'm up to a point where I can't be, unless you do something demonstrative, I can't be moved off of my position. That is what we see Devin Haney do all the time. All the time. And that's what we can see Devin Haney do now. Right now, if we're going to be completely honest. And he fought against Boots or with Brian Norman. He parked the bus. He set his butt back where he needed to be and said, I'm not moving for nothing. There's no need to press the issue because I got the lead and I'm all set and ready. Why risk it? That's been his MO nearly his entire career. He can box, he can do all that stuff, he can be more damaging, but if he gets a lead, there's no need to push the envelope. We're just going to park the bus. We're going to park it straight up. And so you're right. Brian Norman could have fought himself to a draw, and you could argue it was a draw because it was the more aggressive fighter who was doing more active work way more than Devin Haney. But because Devin Haney won those first 7 rounds, specifically because of that knockdown in round 2 and the dominance that he had boxing in the first 6, unless you knock me down, there's no way you can win. You can fight this fight up to a close decision, sure. But that's because I'm parking the bus and I'm going to just sit defensively and just clinch and just make sure I don't get knocked down. After that, you're too far gone. That's what it is. That's what it is. Let me see. England parked the bus against Argentina and they lost. But again, that's Argentina. Literal Messi magic in the last, 90th or so minutes? You're absolutely right. Nearly into Argentina's entire World Cup run was come from behind victories when that elimination round came up. He beat Harry Kane, who was getting ready to win and might still win the Ballon d'Or this year. He beat him. When it would seem like they were ready to do it. They were ready to take him out. Mind you, that's why Spain beat Argentina. They did not let their foot off the gas. And they just kept on taking shots up until they finally got the goal in extra time. I think in the second extra time period, at a minute 15, I believe, minute 15. And so that's an example of why you should not park the bus and stop your momentum when it comes to you got to lead. But for Devin Haney, that's always been his game. It's always been his game. Same idea as prevent defense in football. Yeah, it's the same. It's the same idea, just called different stuff. But you're going through and you are simply planting your feet, or rather, you're drawing a line. We got a lead. We just have to stall out until the end. For Devin Haney, it works, and that's why he's such a dangerous fight, because you have to. Devin Haney is a fighter. You gotta beat him in the first 6 rounds. And by that I mean you have to fight him and get a lead or match him. The best way to beat Devin Haney is to go and make it so that Devin Haney cannot stall out his fights. You have to win rounds consistently between rounds 1 through 6. And you gotta win at least 3. You got to win at least 3 rounds in the first 6 rounds of a fight to beat Devin Haney. Because if you don't win those 3 rounds and it gets to the halfway point, we get to round 7, Devin Haney, if he's up, has the luxury of just to be able to say, I'm too fast and I'm too good at clinching, so I don't have to do anything else. I just have to get away, back away, be defensive, and clinch you up. And even if you win the round, I've done enough work that by the time the 12th bell rings, I'm good. But if you can win half the rounds in the first 6 rounds of the fight, you got the chance to make Devin Haney, okay, I need to keep on fighting. And I can't just clinch and hold. Now I got to go and be more offensive than I want to. And I got to go into a situation where I'm not going to say privy, but this isn't my game plan from the jump. I don't have the luxury to be comfortable. Now I got to go through and I got to keep on winning. I got to take more chances. I got to keep keeping myself vulnerable. And that is a dangerous situation for him. Ryan Garcia, Devin Haney had to fight because he got knocked down early. And then knocked down again before round 6. And then look at what happened. Lomachenko, he kept winning rounds in the first 6 rounds of the fight. And then in the second round got even better, turning the momentum up And Devin Haney, it was too close for him, Devin Haney, to say, I can just go and hold you. I gotta work. I gotta work. And you saw Devin Haney ripping to the body like never before. I have yet to see Devin Haney go that deliberately downstairs since that fight with Lomachenko, because that was the only way Devin Haney could consistently not just score, but keep the rounds close. Because he couldn't outbox or he couldn't hold Lomachenko to stall out a victory. If Brian Norman had been able to win the first 2 rounds, the second half of that fight could have been immensely different. Or the first 3 rounds, second half of that fight could have been immensely different. With how he was able to get his bearings together, even with him getting knocked down, and started to land with those rolling 1-2 shots when he would get Devin Haney to the ropes. He still smothered his own work. He still messed up his own inside game, but he was getting success. And it could have helped out immensely. That's the struggle with Devin Haney. That's always been the struggle with him. You stop that, you can win the fight. You don't stop that, well, you're going to have to fight through clinches and be willing to get out of a boring affair. When Devin Haney, all he wants it to do is to be boring. Because if it's boring, that means that you have no offense that you can gather. And I have won enough rounds, I don't have to do any work. That's what Devin Haney has always been about. And that's what Devin Haney has always won with. And that's why no matter how much we think he's a boring fighter or how much we can say we don't like his style, we can say one thing, brother, you still can't beat him most of the time unless you do these specific criteria. It's incredibly tough. That's part of the reason why he's so hard to beat. That's part of the reason why he's so hard to beat. Also, let me see, LeBron. See, y'all are quick. Hey, y'all are quick. Y'all are quick. Y'all quick, boy. LeBron Sixers. We appreciate you on the show. Hey, man, look, congratulations on the sweepstakes. I got to give you props, brother. I never saw it coming. I never saw it coming. But I'm glad. But well, I can't even say I'm glad it happened. I just know it happened. It ain't the ending that we thought. Y'all successfully got LeBron to side with Philly. Granted, one of the most storied franchises in NBA history. Also one of the most toxic fan bases along with Boston. But my gosh, y'all will defend this man to the death. Y'all will kill somebody for LeBron if LeBron wins the title. Y'all will kill somebody for Joel Embiid. Now. So, great day in the morning. This is set up a whole can of worms. If y'all face off against Boston in the Eastern Conference Finals within the next 2 years, you all are going to go, it's going to be, it's going to be civil war. We're gonna be moving like it's a Revolutionary War. All of a sudden back again. I'm telling you, we're about to have people riding on horses into the street, going and straight up slashing people because y'all got so much. There's gonna be so much hate. Think about it. LeBron hates Boston fans. Jaylen Brown got so much animosity against Boston for shipping him out after the best season of his career. We know what Christmas Day game we gonna see. We know that. I mean, we know what Christmas Day game we about to have coming on our television screens. It's about to be Boston versus Philadelphia, or Boston versus LA. Or excuse me, 76ers versus Philly. I'm sorry, 76ers versus LA, or 76ers versus Boston on Christmas Day. Pick your poison. Opening day. Boston versus Philadelphia, or Boston versus LA, or not LA, or Philly versus LA. Any combinations of those games, put it on a lock. Oh, this season just got so much more exciting because y'all might have the best, y'all definitively, got the best starting five in basketball, without question, without a doubt. That's not even a conversation. You all have the best backcourt in basketball. You do the best starting five. All right. I don't know how y'all did it. If it wasn't for LeBron taking this veteran minimum, y'all would have never gotten him. I never thought I'd see the day when I would see this type of stacked squad. I dare say this is LeBron James' version of Boston in 08. When Kevin Garnett, Paul Pierce, Ray Allen, and Rondo all teamed up together specifically with KG and Ray Allen both leaving and going to Boston. Paul Pierce was already there. Rondo got drafted. Ray Allen and KG both said we're going to go to Boston. And they formed that joint super team. Again, with James Posey, I believe, Kendrick Perkins as the backup center, and a bunch of other pieces that were collectively insane. That's how they won against 08. That's how they had their rivalry with LA in those finals back-to-back, I believe. And they were stacked. This is that. just about with an even more in-depth prime. They were at the end of their prime when they got to the likes of Boston. But this is Joel Embiid being the most out of prime player that's currently on that team. He's not out of his prime, but in terms of wear on the tires. But Tyrese Maxey is directly in it. Jaylen Brown is directly in his prime. Vijay Escombe is going to be in it. It's getting into his second year in the league, just about. And LeBron is still playing like a top 15 player. Now, good gosh, man. I'm telling you. It's I never thought I'd see the day. It is insane. But let me keep on reading your chat. Boston did Brown filthy. That was crazy. They did. And what boggled my mind, this whole team looked like if they just kept Jaylen Brown, they would have been able to run the East again. That seemed like a sacrifice. This tandem worked, especially with the 2 times that Jason Tatum shrunk in the finals in both of his appearances. Jason Tatum was the worst star option in both finals that he was in. It was Jaylen Brown that picked up the slack consistently in every other facet of those series together. If they had won the first series against the Warriors in 2020, in 22, he would have been Finals MVP again. Go back and watch it. Go back and watch it. He would have been Finals MVP again if he had won that series as well as the one in 2024 or 5. I can't remember exactly when they won the title. And he just had a max contract level year. Still carrying this squad. I think what was their record last year? The Boston's record last year, it was it 50? They were 56-23 last year with just Jaylen Brown as the leader or the best star player on the team. Yeah, they had Derek White. They still had Adam Horford and Kristaps. They had the best. They still had the collective best outright team, top to bottom. They did. But similar to Michael Jordan when he left, Scottie Pippen still held the reins, and they were equipped and they were able to still ride the ship and be just as good as they were when Jordan left. Boston was just as good as they were when Jason Tatum got out with the Achilles injury. He earned his keep. It's just a shame. It really is. And he's hot. He's upset. That's why he's got a chip on his shoulder. And if this works, it's going to be incredible. And they've already won before, so they know what to do. They know what to do. And they'll be just fine. And don't forget, there's some more drama involved with this whole cycle of LeBron and this situation. Because the reason why he signed with Philly, I think excuse me, not the reason why. The sentiments against him signing has gotten everybody upset because, as you can see right here, per Legion Sports, who had its report coming up about the whole reaction to LeBron signing, and I quote, "Just saw Lakers fans say it was a slap in the face to see LeBron take a pay cut for the 76ers. Lakers repeatedly emphasized building around Luka, not LeBron. Didn't make any sense for LeBron to take a pay cut when they're paying other role players 2 times as much. LeBron is going all in on title number 5, and it was the correct move to leave LA. People are going to have a frustration with the reality. You took a pay cut this time with the 76ers and not with LA when you could have re-signed with them again. And with the moves that they have made. Mind you, that is the wrong sentiment to hold, because it is not unfair that we saw LeBron take a pay cut for the 76ers and not Los Angeles or other teams. Strictly because, and I've said this multiple times before, and I'm going to reiterate this again. And we got people in the chat. I forget. Mind you, we're still in the championship rounds, and I'm going to explain my point real quick. But let me read these chats real quick. Like with Truth, how you doing? Good to see you. We thank you for showing up and showing out and tuning into our show today. Hopefully you're having a phenomenal time, and hopefully you're loving the show. We're reacting to everything boxing and beyond in the last, we're at the 3-hour mark already. Probably will last like 5 or 10 minutes left in the show before we wrap it up. We've covered Shakur, Devin Haney, Keyshawn Davis, Boots Ennis. We covered the Tyson Fury, Anthony Joshua. We covered what did we cover? We covered LeBron and the whole signing and what can happen with this team. We need to cover what they can do with this season if Championship 5 is likely. But we're just talking about everything, as we always do, in the world of the championship rounds on every Friday afternoon. But let me see. I didn't even know Fury fought today. It's a charity fight. It's not supposed to be it's not going to be televised. Nobody's going to be able to see it. So don't even try to look for it, because it ain't going to be anywhere except for on YouTube and some highlight clips after the fact by somebody that was there. The biggest thing you need to worry about that you can see is Joshua versus Paringa, or Pringles, as we've been calling him now. Joshua versus Pringles. If Pringles chips can go and beat the likes of Anthony Joshua, if he can put his hands inside that tube, that Pringles thing, and make it so that he has no punching ability, or even better, knock the mess out of him and knock him out, Pringles wins. My gosh. I can't believe it. He might just get sponsored by the company if he goes and knocks out Anthony Joshua. But most likely, Joshua's going to knock him out and win. We just need to see how it's going to go. But yeah, Pringles, that brother, like I said, hey, I didn't come up with it. Chad came up with that. I'm just using it because that's funny. That's funny. I'm telling you, I might just get some Pringles chips just to eat, because I want to be ready to say, hey, I knew it was going to happen already. Holding my can up to the camera. Hey, Pringles, if you want to sponsor me, I'm here for it. Like I said, we pack a punch with crunch when it comes to our conversations in the boxing landscape around the globe. Trust me, I already got the slogans ready. I'm telling you, brother, I'm quick. Marketing, whatever y'all want. I got y'all. I can sell a product. I can do it. I'll grow a mustache and everything. Already got it coming in. I'm telling you, we can make it work. We can make it work. I promise you that. But that's the fight that we're focused on in this whole drama of potentially getting Tyson Fury and Paringa, or Tyson Fury and AJ fighting against each other. Right now, Paringa and Josh was the only fight that we can actually see. But to not get away from LeBron Sixers, literally, who's in the chat, and Al Booger's comments about this whole move to Boston. I'm not going to dwell long on it. I just want to make sure I say this one last thing about this whole situation. This was not unfair for LeBron to take a pay cut. This was not unfair for LeBron to take this money with the 76ers, not with LA. LA, and I say this consistently, robbed this man of his entire 8-year tenure, because every time he needed a move, whether it was signing a center, whether it was keeping a championship lineup that they already won with together, like they did in LA in 2020, they failed at every opportunity. Every single time. They re-signed the likes of Reeves and Hachimura, but then when it came to making other moves, they didn't. Promises that were supposed to be kept, they didn't do. You can blame the Westbrook saga for you shouldn't have gotten Westbrook. And yeah, you're right, they shouldn't have. But don't forget, before Westbrook, LeBron said he wanted DeMar DeRozan. They couldn't sign DeMar DeRozan for some odd reason. They got Westbrook. LeBron said, yeah, he did say I wanted Westbrook. That's on him. But even still, when it was time to move him, they didn't even attempt to. They didn't try. When they clearly saw it wasn't working. Don't forget, they let go of Frank Vogel for that bum of a coach, Darvin Ham, that absolutely sucked when it came to being a mind in basketball. Look at what he did to the Bucks. Nothing. Look at what he did in LA. Nothing. That brother was a bum in every sense of the word and will never gain my respect as a coach because of what he did in that organization. Absolute buffoonery on every account. And the Lakers said that's the guy we want for 3 seasons. With a team at that point in time that was still built to go and potentially make a run at a title. They traded away for AD. Absolutely. Yes, they did. But then when it came to making other moves to help to keep that organization together, they weren't able to do. And if you want to say that LeBron is chasing a championship, yes, he is. Without a doubt. I'm not going to hold that against you. He is chasing a title. He is ring chasing. Shaq did the same thing. Gary Payton and Karl Malone did the same thing. I'd sure rather say he who should not be named in Karl Malone for reasons you can look up for yourself. But they both admitted we were ring chasing. Shaq specifically signed with that Boston squad that looked like they could win a title with KG and all of them. He signed with them because he was trying to get his way to a championship easy. The difference is they were at a point in time when they were not a contributing factor. Not nearly as much of a contributing factor. LeBron is at a point in time where he can change this whole organization for the better. This team could have one of the best records in basketball. And this team has shown, even though it's Daryl Morey owning that team, and we've had a bunch of problems with Daryl Morey. A bunch of problems with Daryl Morey. The one thing that we can't say, he's done the right job in making this roster fit to be a threat when they had a leader like LeBron or somebody that can carry the load in a more well-rounded fashion at the helm. They did the right stuff. Ownership has been a reason why LeBron has had to leave Cleveland, why LeBron has been fed up with LA, and why LeBron is now with Philly. If you want to say he doesn't have any loyalty, that's a lie. Because Jordan wanted to leave Boston. Or Jordan wanted to leave to go anywhere or have somebody else come play with him. He was willing to team up with Larry Bird. Superstar team up. He was willing to do that. Because he was saying, I'm tired of losing. Literally. To the media. Kobe wanted to leave Los Angeles. If they didn't sign one of the top 10 best players in the world in Pau Gasol and Lamar Odom and overhaul that whole roster with Phil Jackson still coaching them. He was ready to go. There is ownership responsibility to make a player want to stay. And if the owner doesn't make it a point that we're giving you the tools to succeed and you just ain't winning, rather than you can't win because you don't have the talent around you, that's where problems can come into play. Where, yeah, it's time to leave. And for LeBron, unlike with Jordan, unlike with Kobe, and unlike with Bill Russell or other greats of the 90s and even in the early 2000s, he never had that consistency of personnel. He didn't. Isaiah Thomas had it when he was on Detroit. Larry Bird had it when he was in Boston. Shoot, Dr. J had it when the NBA merged with the ABA. The first couple seasons he got to the league, he went to the finals. Coming off of averaging in the ABA 35, 13, and 2 blocks a game at 6'6". Going up against Hall of Famers that went on to play in the ABA in their more physically gifted prime. And they almost they almost won against the Trailblazers. But Bill Walton was a monster. They didn't have enough help down low, even with Daryl Dawkins. And then they kept on playing, and ultimately they made a move, and they got Moses Malone. And because they got Moses Malone, guess what? Now they're fully equipped. They got the tools, they got the pieces, and they almost went 4-4-4, like Moses Malone said, and went and won a championship. I think only losing twice or once during that whole run in the middle of Boston and LA trading championships with Magic Johnson and Larry Bird ruling the league at that point in time. But they made a move that got him help. Even in the era where there wasn't a thing of player empowerment and player leverage to go where you wanted to go. Clyde Drexler would have been forgotten more so at the time, even though he was the second best shooting guard of his era with Jordan, if he didn't get to go and leave and go play with Hakeem Olajuwon and Vernon Maxwell to be the last piece needed to win a title and go back to back. And he was still elite. But his organization, with all due respect to Kevin Duckworth, Jerome Kersey, they were not built to be able to win. Even though they were a good team. This is not me trying to go with the GOAT debate. This is not me trying to make concessions one way or the other. I'm trying to paint a picture because what's going to come out after this, win, lose, or draw, you're going to hear everybody say LeBron is again just hopping to a title. He doesn't want to do nothing different. That's going to come up. I guarantee. I'm simply trying to tell you, when it comes to the public eye of basketball, you have to understand what drove this decision was a 23-year career of inconsistency amongst the leadership around LeBron. And if David Blatt, Jeannie Buss, Pat Riley, he was good. No issue there. Everybody on that team just got old at literally the exact same time. And Chris Bosh, the blood clots, hindered that whole situation of, oh, we can go through. Wade's knees gave out in 2024. The third year of their 4-year team up, gone. He said himself, I was shot after that 2013 title. And the rest of that squad was also old at the same time. Nobody else could play in terms of up to the level. And we saw what happened in the finals. Even though they got there, dog walked by the Spurs, who were also old, but a lot more versatile and able to be useful because their roster was built up a little bit better. But again, Pat Riley, that's just what happened. If Wade was healthy, they still had a roster that could have won, but time is time. Sometimes you can't fight that. But outside of Pat Riley, every other stop has been a beacon of frustration and despair, which has led to now storybook ending. Sure, it could happen. Miami, sure, it could have happened. Cleveland, it could have happened. In fact, Cleveland was an option for LeBron if they could have gotten a trade with the Dallas Mavericks to get Kyrie over there because he wanted a reunion. Reportedly, he wanted a reunion with both with LeBron, Kyrie, and AD all going to Cleveland. Getting the AD from the Wizards, who was already talked about, we might trade him. Kyrie from off of injury, getting from the Dallas Mavericks, with them having a leadership in Cooper Flag. Boom. It seemed like that's what he wanted to have happen. And if Cleveland could have made those changes, he would have gone to Cleveland. And of course, with the Knicks, if Knicks didn't win the title, he would have gone to New York. He said that publicly. Or Rich Paul, his voice box for the public, said that publicly. All that could have happened. But again, went to Philly because now, instead of, the money ain't an option, but I'm still a viable candidate to be a piece that can change your whole organization. Because of that reality, and ultimately, I'm not giving up my last shot, he went to a stacked squad. Oh, yeah. He went to a stacked squad. The biggest thing about this squad, though, their injuries can make this whole decision backfire. Their injuries. The fact that Joel Embiid is on this team can turn this team from a championship contender into potentially favorite out the East into they have no chance. And if you could, for the future, get him off of your team for somebody else that may not be as good, but with this roster, you just need somebody confident down there that is more consistent, especially coming to playoff time, maybe get him off of your team. Only because if he gets injured again with another serious knee or ankle injury, most likely the prime of Joel Embiid is now officially done. It's holding on by a thread because he still is a great player. And we saw what he was able to do in the Olympics. But he's been injured so much, similar to Anthony Davis. Though the injuries have been more severe than with Anthony Davis, the same point comes into play. But the next injury that you have may just rock the prime out of you. And now you're no longer the same 30-point to 35-point per game scorer that is able to go through and walk over everybody as the biggest physical force at center that we have to offer right now. It could all crash and burn. It could all be a big mistake. But it could all work out as well because of the amount of adjustability, the amount of notable names and room to still get stuff going. Because with LeBron getting $4 million a year for 2 years, this is his last stop, and you're only giving up $8 million. There is still an opportunity to sign more free agents to fill out this roster on this team right now. There is. The free agency list can still consist of Russell Westbrook, DeMar DeRozan. And that's just the first two of what looks to be an absolute smorgasbord of quality names. I'm trying to pull up the tracker right now to see exactly who's available. Because if we're going to be completely honest, it is... Where's it? It is... Yeah, James Harden. Lakers re-signed Austin Reeves, but James Harden declined the player option. Norman Powell. They reached a deal. Jalen Duren, who's open for a max, but most likely won't get it. He's available. Zach LaVine's coming back to Sacramento. We got Benedict Mathurin, who's from Indiana. We saw that one that they had when they went to the finals. He's still available to be picked up. You got a smorgasbord. Peyton Watson, who could be another great guard. Brandon Williams. You have an abundance of people that are available. Seth Curry as another shooter. Gary Payton the second as another defender. Bruce Brown, who made a big difference when it came to the Denver Nuggets. We got people. We got options. We have names. We have some quality that can still be picked up and fill out the rest of this potential championship lineup. And because of that, oh buddy, this team can get even better than it is already. Mark my words. Mark my words, it can. And because it can, we need to be very cautious. Very cautious with what we see going forward from this point out. Because everybody's about to go and get picked up now. Everybody's about to go get picked up. I promise you. And it's about to be an insanely quick turnaround of people getting signed as free agents. Because LeBron was the last domino to see what would happen. And now that they see what the Sixers are as a team, the whole league is going to be built to stop two people. Victor Wembanyama and LeBron on the Sixers. I guarantee you, watch how these lineups start matching up. It's going to have abundance of people making changes left, right, and center. It's about to get insane. I guarantee you. But we got to go and get it out of here and want to make sure we catch everybody before, or we want to make sure that we give you all a chance to enjoy the rest of your weekend. And we can't go over 4 hours. So we got to go and wrap this show up and send it home. Al Booger, I'm going to read your chats real quick. Love how we'll always blame everyone else when LeBron doesn't get the job done. But this is not blame. This is context. He did not show up in 08. Absolutely. There were times this season where he lost this team some games. There was times in LA where he had a terrible stint. At one point in time, he was putting up like 10, 9 points for like a slew of games. During this whole tenure, there was a point in time where he was shooting sub 25, I think sub 28% from three during his Lakers tenure. He was bad. But it's the context. This ain't me trying to, trust me, we keep it a bucket. This ain't blame. This is the fact of the matter. But just know, whatever the case may be, it's going to be an incredible off-season and next season to see how this unfolds. Now we know where everybody's going. And boy, I can't wait to see what happens after this. But with all that being said, we're going to wrap the show up, send it home, and get on out of here and let you all enjoy the rest of your day. So ladies and gentlemen, this has been another episode of The Welch Report with me, your host, Jean-Luc Welch. We thank you so much for tuning in and listening to our show, listening to today's episode, and having a time on our show to be able to witness and enjoy everything involving the landscape of sports and beyond. If you will be so kind, go ahead and leave a like on the video before you leave. Keep on commenting your thoughts and opinions. Keep on subscribing to the channel if you haven't already, and go through and share the show with everybody that you know. We thank you to everybody who came in and supported on our live stream and chatted and donated and gave alms to the empire and helped make this show oh so exciting, oh so enthralling, oh so investing, and oh so much more entertaining. We appreciate the input, we appreciate the reactions, and we appreciate all the talk that we had on today. We are gonna be back. We might be covering the world of boxing with this weekend's actions with Tim Sue and Spence and Joshua and Paringa and all that stuff. We might be covering at least one of those fights this weekend. I'm gonna keep you updated, or if not, I'll send out a blast to tell you all what's gonna be happening on this channel, and if we do or do not have the chance to go on live stream the stuff, if we can, we'll let you know. But hey, if you want to support this channel, we got Cash App, PayPal, links down below in the description, super chat, super gifts, stickers, and the like, all for you to help us out and help us to grow and give alms to the empire and help us to make this show better and pay some bills and to edify this show, invest back into it to make it better for your viewing and listening pleasure. Rate us 5 stars wherever you listen to podcasts. Once again, like the stream before you leave. Hit the hype button on this video when it goes into its own upload to help us push the algorithms even further to go and reach the masses all across the globe. But I've been Jean-Luc Welch. You all have been absolutely wonderful. Be safe, be blessed, peace and love. Oh, we are out of here. Yes, sir. Salute to you. We can't wait to see you all next time out here. Be safe, be blessed, have a wonderful weekend, and we can't wait to talk more about sports next time we up here. And we are out of here.